with a record of 9-7, come sailing into Texas to meet the Dallas Cowboys, who are 12-4. And on the bridge for the Buccaneers, Doug Williams. For the first time this year, perhaps the strongest arm in the NFL, completed 50% of his passes. Here's a dynamite play to his tight end, Jimmy Giles, the #1 receiver in Tampa Bay history. And if it's not Jimmy Giles, look for Kevin House. He and Doug Williams combined for 7 plays of 50 yards or more this year, including 3 plays of more than 70 yards. Here's a 71-yard touchdown against Atlanta. Tampa Bay, a big club indeed. When you talk about big plays in Texas, you talk about Tony Dorsett. For 5 years, better than 1,000 yards each year rushing. This year, 1,646 yards to establish a club record, 9 times 100 yards. And when the Cowboys go to the air, they're in the capable hands of Danny White, who cut his interceptions down from 25 to 13. Here's a big play to Butch Johnson and the Rays from Riverside with the California Quake. Buccaneers and Cowboys in a shootout in Texas.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Dallas Cowboys.
Before the consecutive sellout crowd at Texas Stadium, ironically, the last time Dallas played before a non-sellout at home was in 1977 against Tampa Bay. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Hank Stram. You know, Hank, if you do a little figuring, since the merger in 1970 in playoff games, the home team wins 65% of the time. It would seem like the cards are stacked against Tampa Bay.
I really don't think that's true, Vin, in that what happened in the past, what happened 2 weeks ago, what happens 3 weeks ago, it really doesn't make any difference. The only thing that really matters is how they're going to play today. They have to earn the right by playing well today, and that's what it's all about, and that's what you have to look for in this contest this afternoon.
Tampa Bay has won twice in its 6 years in existence, but look at the Cowboys, 16 consecutive winning seasons, their 30th playoff game. They have an awful lot of experience going for them.
Yes, they have, and I'm sure that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come into this game feeling a little bit like Roger Dangerfield in that they have no respect from people outside of the area of Florida and outside of the area of their immediate conference. But I guarantee you, they are an excellent football team. They do things very, very well. They have given up fewer touchdowns in the last 3 years than any team in the National Football League. They have a big play attack. They can make things happen. I think it's going to be a very exciting game, and I think this Tampa Bay Buccaneer football team is going to surprise a lot of people this afternoon with the way they play.
Down on the field, Dallas will be kicking off. Rafael Septien will be kicking off for the Cowboys, and deep, number 26, James Owens, number 21, John Holt. Holt had the biggest return of a kickoff this year. He broke 140 yards against the Eagles. So pull up a chair now as the Cowboys and the Buccaneers ready to start it off. They'll go to the right side, and that means John Holt 1 yard deep in the end zone. Anthony Dickerson can't get him, and that means he gets across the 20, and he's down at the 21-yard line. 2 men to get him, and with the 2 safety men, Everson Walls and Michael Down. Here's the way Tampa Bay stacks up. Doug Williams at the wheel with Owens, Wilder, and the wide receivers House and Bell. Owens is playing for Jerry Eckwood, is banged up. Giles, Sanders, Snell, Wilson, Robertson, Hanna up front. But Doug Williams coming in here with the highest scoring Buck team in history. They picked up 315 points this year, and they'll start on their own 21. Giles loosens and now goes in motion as the tight end, and it's the second man, James Owens, and he gets out across the 25 to the 26-yard line before he is brought down as he crossed by Mike Hegman, number 58. Defensively, Jones, Dutton, White, and Martin, the front 4. And for the Cowboys, the linebackers, Hegman, Brunig, and Lewis. At the corners, Everson Walls, the outstanding rookie, along with Dennis Thurman. The safeties, the veteran Charlie Waters, and Michael Down. So it'll be 2nd and 4 at the 26 for Tampa Bay. Just the start of the ballgame. Giles in motion. And again, they're staying on the ground, and it's James Owens out across the 30, falling forward to the 31. Too tall Jones bringing him down. For James Owens, by the way, only his 2nd start this year. His last start was against Detroit.
Very obvious in the first 2 plays that we have seen the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are definitely going to run at the Cowboy defense with the idea of getting the middle linebacker, Bob Bruning, going from one side to the other in their 4-3 alignment and then cutting behind Bruning. This is one thing that really puts a lot of pressure on the 4-3 defense.
Two tight ends in there now. Obradovich joining Giles on a 3rd and 1. The ball at the Buccaneer 31. And it's a sneak. And Williams fighting for the first down. And we'll just have to wait and see when they spot it. Theo Bell and Kevin House come back on, so from down on the Tampa Bay bench, they feel they have made the first down, which gives us a chance to identify the officials. The referee is Jerry Markbright, the umpire Gordon Wells, the head linesman Dale Hammer, the line judge Bama Glass, the back judge is Tom Kelleher, the side judge Bill Quinby, the field judge Armin Terzian. And so the Buccaneers have picked up the first down on that sneak by Williams.
I think it's going to be very important for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers also to throw on first down, and especially play-action passes.
And they got the Rabbits, Theo Bell going wide left and Kevin House wide right. Play-action fake to James Owens, and collared and hit and dropped. Mike Hegman, number 58, put the slug on Williams, hit him with his left arm, and drilled him.
Hegman is the left linebacker. The middle linebacker, Bruning, 53, is blitzing. Watch Hegman come over on the right side of the screen, jumps up into the air, gets a piece of Doug Williams. They guessed right, a play-action pass. You want to throw a play-action pass with the anticipation of not getting a blitz. The Cowboys guessed right. They did blitz, and for that reason, they were sent on the play.
So it's a 2nd and 19, back on the Buccaneer 23. Williams trying to get a pass off after play action, but couldn't do it. And here comes James Owens trying to get outside Benny Barnes, who hooks him at the 25 and drops him at the 27-yard line. Barnes, a 10-year veteran out of Stanford, making a nice play to stay all the way with it.
They run a high percentage play with the hope that they can get a big play and surprise the defense of the Dallas Cowboys. They have 5 defensive backs in the game. James Owens breaks to the outside, cuts back inside, picks up some yardage, but a very safe play on the part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So the Buccaneers with a 3rd and 15 on their own 27-yard line. Kevin House coming left. Theo Bell goes wide right. And in the spread formation now with Wilder on Williams left and Owens staying in the block. Williams directing traffic, chased by Dickerson, and the pass is no good. James Owens, after staying in the block for the moment, released, and the pass intended for him at the 30-yard line was no good. A lot of heat being put on Williams.
Yes, and that time they had 6 defensive backs. And the important thing in any game, and this game is no exception, you must do a good job on 1st and 10. You must get 4 yards or more. They did the first time they ran the ball. They did not do so on the second series, and for that reason they got in the jam and permitted Dallas to bring in 5 and 6 defensive backs. And when they do that, they are really tough.
Larry Swider, the number 3 punter in the NFC, averaging better than 42 yards a punt, kicking to James Jones at the Cowboy 35. And Jones is across the 45, hit at about the 47-yard line. Among others down there is Green, along with Leonard. And so the Cowboys in excellent field position will put it in play 1st and 10 on their own 47. No score in the early going. And from all of us, wishing you the happiest of New Year. All right, 1st and 10 on the Cowboy 47. Danny White, he has Dorsett behind Springs. Tony Hill going wide left, and Butch Johnson in motion. And White flipping back to Dorsett, with Springs blocking, and Dorsett is across midfield into Buccaneer territory and knocked out of bounds at the 47-yard line. And it was Norris Thomas who finally pushed him out. Looking at the Cowboys offensively, White, Dorsett, and Springs, the wide receivers Tony Hill and Drew Pearson. Billy Joe Dupre, the tight end, and then you have the front line. In fact, Tom Rafferty calls them the Sweat Hogs. Donovan, Scott, Rafferty, Peterson, and Cooper, and that's quite a story. Rafferty, a guard, is now a center.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, number 41, defense, 1st down.
So when Norris Thomas pushed Dorsett out of bounds, he also got a handful of iron, and it'll be a 5-yard penalty, bringing the ball to the Buccaneer 41, and the Cowboys have it 1st and 10. So the Bucs had the ball on their own 21 and got out to the 32, and the Cowboys immediately early drive into Buccaneer territory. This time it springs across the 40 to about the 39-yard line. He scored 12 touchdowns for the Cowboys this year, 10 rushing. He's a good one.
Yes, and talking to Johnny McKay the other day, he said that he thought he was one of the very fine backs they played against all year.
There's the front three, as you saw, and then behind them, Hawkins, Johnson, Wood, and Green. At the corners, Norris Thomas and Mike Washington, and the safeties, Neil Colsey and Cedric Brown. There are 5 former Pittsburgh Panthers with Tampa Bay, and we can get into that a little bit later on. 2nd and 8, just inside the 40-yard line. Jay Saldy is now in there on the right side of Billy Joe Dupre, and that's Stu Pearson in motion. White faking to Dorsett, has a lot of time, but the receiver's pretty well covered. Throws to Dupre, takes a big hit from Green, and goes down at the 39-yard line. Hugh Green, who was personally recruited by Tony Dorsett to go to Pittsburgh.
And we talked about hitting before the game, and this is a great illustration of it. They backed 8 guys back there, rush with 3. Then they say, throw the ball in front of us. We don't care, but if you make the catch, you're going to pay for the catch. Green just illustrated that point.
Hugh Green, of course, is an alternate coming up to the Pro Bowl. He had a magnificent year for Tampa Bay. One of the 2 truly great rookie linebackers, along with Lawrence Taylor of the Giants. So it is 2nd and 8 at the 39. And out of a spread formation, you have Crosby now on the right side. And in motion is Spring. White in a crowd intended for Crosby, and it's broken up. He had Hawkins along with Cecil Johnson. Cecil the Diesel, John McKay calls him, number 56, who was a roommate of Tony Dorsett at Pittsburgh.
There again, you saw a great illustration. The linebackers got good depth. They were 4 deep, playing a zone like they always like to play. They look like they give you a hole. You throw the ball there, and next thing you know, you're shaken loose from the ball, and that's what happened again on the last play by the Dallas Cowboys.
So it is 4th and 9 from the 40-yard line with Holt and Theo Bell. Holt 21 and Bell is 83. Danny White has hit 19 out of bounds this year, and he's going to try and do it right now as he arrows it down the right side. And it will be ruled a touchback into the end zone, and so the Buccaneers will take over 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line, much to the displeasure of the sellout crowd and a rather stony-faced Danny White walking off the field. No score with 9:46 left in the first quarter. John McKay, in 6 years, has piloted the young Buccaneers into the playoffs twice. Tom Landry, 16 consecutive winning seasons. This is his 30th postseason game. 1st and 10 Buccaneers on their own 20-yard line, and Jerry Eckwood is now the deep back with Wilder in front of him, and Jim Owens is out. And they'll try Eckwood's number, and he's collared at the 20 and drives forward. D.D. Lewis had his arms around him, but he fought off Lewis and picked up a couple of yards on his own.
You know, interesting about Jerry Eckwood, we talked to Coach McKay yesterday, and he indicated that he was very fearful that Eckwood would not be able to play because he's had a pulled groin. As we were leaving the hotel, I bumped into Jerry, and he said, I guarantee I'm going to be able to play. I feel great. I haven't practiced all week long. My leg feels good, and by golly, he's in the game and ready to participate.
You know, he's made 4 of the 5 longest runs in Buck history. So it is 2nd and 8 from the 22 for Doug Williams and company. No score as Giles shakes loose and goes in motion. Williams, bothered by Ed Jones, but got away from the lead. John Dutton is chasing him, and Dutton finally brings him down at the 29-yard line. He's about a half a foot from a first down, and he just did get out of the way of that left hook by Too Tall Jones.
Charlie Hanna, the right tackle, number 73, trying to block Too Tall Jones. He doesn't do a good job. Too Tall goes to the outside, used leverage, pushed him inside, and came in and made a good play. Watch it again. Charlie Hanna trying to block Too Tall. He gets high, gets a piece of Doug Williams. Williams bounces out to the outside. He's got a great escapability skill. One thing you have to do against Tampa, you must keep him in the pocket.
3rd and 1 at the 29. Remember now, Williams was sneaking for the first time the last time, but he goes for Wilder, and Wilder out across the 30 for the first down to about the 32. They had the 2 tight ends in there, Jimmy Giles and Jim Obradovich, and Ed Jones made the tackle.
Boy, there's a good job on the part of Too Tall Jones. He really used his leverage in good shape. And one thing that you have to do against a big guy like that, you've got to get in a good low position. You must bend your knees. You must exercise good leverage. Hanna was a little bit too high that time, and that's why he was able to be blocked off like he was on the play.
1st and 10 on the Buccaneer 32. Kevin House is wide right. Theo Bell goes wide left. And Williams dropping the handoff, then falls on it right at the 31-yard line. John Dutton was right there to cover, so it'll be 2nd and 11 from the 31.
You know, I was surprised Tampa has the ball now, but I was very surprised that Dallas didn't do a better job of taking advantage of field position. He just dropped the exchange from the center. It looked like he might have been trying to get out of there just a little bit too soon.
Which brings up a rather interesting point about Tampa Bay. You know, their running backs with 402 rushing attempts had only 4 fumbles this year and lost 1 of them. You can see the turnover ratio. Dallas and Tampa Bay dead even at a plus 18. So from the 31, 2nd and about 12. And Williams over the middle, and it's caught by Theo Bell at the 45. He's dropped at the 48. Dennis Thurman hit him from one side and Bob Brunig from the other. And it's a 1st down as Williams connects.
Watch Theo Bell come off the line of scrimmage. He's anchored right outside the numbers on the left side. He goes inside. Brunig is spinning around trying to locate the ball. Didn't find it. The ball was right on the money. 1st down, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Theo Bell, who was originally drafted by Pittsburgh, has come up with some mighty big plays for Tampa Bay, and he picks up the 1st down on the Buccaneer 47. House again right and Bell left. In motion is James Wilder, and they'll go to Eckwood, and Eckwood's not going to go anywhere because Martin was right there along with Lewis. So Harvey Martin, 4-time a Pro Bowler, and D.D. Lewis.
D.D. Lewis really did a good job. Wilder was trying to block on the play, but did not do a good job on D.D. Lewis, nor did the left tackle, Gene Sanders, do a good job on Martin. And anytime you don't block people, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to make yardage on the play.
And by the way, D.D. Lewis, number 50, playing in his 26th playoff, tying Larry Cole for the NFL record. And of course, D.D. Lewis has announced his retirement this year. So 2nd and 13. The ball back to the 43-yard line, and out of the spread, Williams setting up deep down the right side. It's deflected and picked off by Dennis Thurman. Thurman is inside the 40 and down to the 30-yard line. But Dennis Thurman, with a lot of pressure supplied by Harvey Martin, and Williams, who had only 14 interceptions this year, is burned.
Kevin House, they're running against 6 defensive backs. Kevin House breaks to the inside. The ball is thrown a little bit behind and a little bit too high. The tipping drill comes into effect. Dennis Thurman makes the interception on the tip ball. Does a great job of running down the sideline and creates a good field position situation for the Dallas Cowboys on the 35.
Dennis Thurman has 9 interceptions going into the game. Doug Williams, as we had mentioned, had cut his interceptions down to only 14. So the Cowboys led with 37, so it's no shock as they put it in play at the Buccaneer 31. The motion is the tight end Jay Saldy to the right. And a play action fake to Dorsett. The pass is off his hands. No good. Diving on the ball, but much too late to pick it off is Neil Colsey. Intended for Tony Hill.
Anytime you throw that kind of a pass inside, you must be sure and throw the ball. You have plenty of time. You must throw it from the waist, from the shoulder pads down. You cannot throw it high, because if you throw it high and he doesn't make a clean catch, exactly what occurred on the last play. It bounces up in the air, and there's always a chance for a tip ball and an interception. They were lucky that they didn't get one that time.
So it is 2nd and 10 at the 31 for Danny White. Remember, he had only 13 interceptions from 25 last year. And it'll be the second man, Dorsett, and he is grabbed by Green. A note of irony, all right. Hugh Green, personally recruited by Dorsett to go to Pittsburgh, and the outstanding rookie linebacker brings him down.
Boy, what a great-looking play by Hugh Green. He did it just like you draw it up on the board. It was a counter play. And watch him. He's in a good position. Puts his arms around Dorsett and makes the tackle. Hugh Green, number 53, the young rookie linebacker from the University of Pittsburgh. A great play by Green.
And we have our eyes on number 56 as you look at Green, because Cecil Johnson was Dorsett's roommate in college, and they figure to meet several times today. Doug Cosby is in at tight end, only he's loosened to the right, so he's in a slot inside Pearson. And White going to crank it up and go deep in the end zone, intended for Tony Hill. 40.
Here again, they had a three-man rush, 8 people back on pass defense. I tell you, it's tough to get the ball through those people because they do a good job of covering the field and responding to their zones. The ball was thrown way up on top to Tony Hill with the anticipation of throwing it way over the top of all those defensive backs, hoping that he might be able to get a big play with a tip or something in the end zone. There was some contact there, but not pass interference. And again, Dallas misfires on a good field position situation. That's going to come back to hurt him.
Well, we mentioned earlier how well Danny White had been doing in punting OB. Now he has his second shot. The other one went into the end zone. So standing at the 50-yard line, Theo Bell and John Holder back at the Buccaneer 10. No score with 4:27 left in the first quarter. And White angles for the corner. And this time he's gotten it, let's see where they mark it, at the 7-yard line. So a great punt by Danny White. He's kicked 20 of them out of 82. And the Buccaneers will start on their own 7-yard line. No score, first quarter. Weekend, an expanded version of CBS Sports Saturday, the annual East-West Shrine All-Star Game. You know, some of the NFL's brightest stars had their national exposure in that game. This year, Paul Bear Bryant leads the East. Paul Wiggin at Stanford handles the West. Next week, Doug Williams now in some trouble on his own 7-yard line, 1st and 10. However, he's going to try and throw his way out of it, and it slipped out of his hands. A wobbly pass going and landing a good 5 yards short of Kevin House. Ed Jones putting a lot of heat on him, and he just did get the ball away and threw it like a runaway gyroscope.
Ed Jones splattered the quarterback that time. Charlie Hanna did not block him again, and he really literally splattered Doug Williams on the play. What a rush, and what a pressure situation put on Doug Williams by the missed block by Charlie Hanna on Ed Jones.
And, of course, Ed Jones, among other things, one of 7 Cowboys elected to the Pro Bowl. Dorsett, Donovan, Scott, Sepien, Walsh, Jones, and White. Jerry Eckwood has to come out, and James Owens is in there now. 2nd and 10 from the 7-yard line, and they're going to go to Owens, but he takes a nasty hit at about the 8-yard line, and he was hit from both directions, and the men who hit him, Martin got him from one side, and the other was John Dutton, so that's quite a collision.
The one thing you want to do, you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in a situation. Here you see Dutton and Martin putting a double dip on him that time, making the tackle on Owen right in the line of scrimmage. Good hit on the part of both people.
So the Buccaneers are mired on their own 9-yard line. It's 3rd and 9. Theo Bell goes right, Kevin House left, and they loosen the tight end, Jimmy Giles. Out of the spread with Owens and Wilder. And Williams scrambling. Ed Jones almost had him for the safety. Now throwing it high and deep down the sidelines, and Dennis Thurman picks it off again. It was intended for House, and there goes Thurman up across midfield and down to the Buccaneer 47-yard line. Jimmy Giles, the intended receiver on that scramble, and so Doug Williams intercepted for the 2nd time, and each time by Dennis Thurman.
That time he's flushed out of the pocket. He's in the end zone. Too Tall Jones in hot pursuit. Misses number 72. He runs out of the pocket, throws the ball on the run. He's got a terrific arm. And the way, really, essentially, the way it turns out is just like a punt. Deep downfield, it would have been much better had Giles been able to make the tackle right there on Thurman, but he missed the tackle and brought it back for extra yardage on the interception.
Who gave up the ball on the Buccaneer 35, get it back on the Buck 47, and Danny White with his formation of slot left, Tony Hill and Drew Pearson left. Salty is the tight end along with Dupre on the right side. And they'll go to Tony Dorsett, and Dorsett with a whistle and flags, and that'll be that. Mike Washington threw a pretty good block to take Jim Cooper right out of it. Cooper had
encroachment, defense.
And it's against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Time left, 3 minutes and 15 seconds in the first quarter. No score, and that'll move the ball to the Buccaneer 43.
Encroachment, number 76, defense, first down.
That's Dave Logan. Logan, of course, is another one who went to school and played with Tony Dorsett. 3 years out of Pitt. Big fella, 6'2", 250.
You know, Dallas has had the ball on their own 47, the plus 30, plus 47. Field position is very important, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't take advantage of it, and Dallas hasn't so far.
1st and 5 at the 43-yard line for Danny White. Springs and Dorsett, the deep man, and Salty in motion, and they go to Springs, and he powers inside the 40 and down to about the 37-yard line. Hawkins, Cedric Brown, among others. And there's Cecil Johnson, number 56, last man to get up.
I think you'll find that as a general rule of thumb, it's much better to run right at the defense, a defense that employs a 3-4 alignment. Much better to run right at the defense than to try to run sideways. That was a good thrust by the offensive line, and that's why they got off the ball in good shape and made yardage on that last play.
They made yardage indeed. They have picked up the first down. The ball at the 37-yard line of Tampa Bay. Jay Salty in there as the tight end on a wing outside Crosby. So with 2 tight ends, they send Salty wide left. And straight ahead goes Springs, bumping into people, and the man he bumped into is Richard Wood, the Batman as they call him, and he was the one who brought him down inside the 35 at about the 33.
I think you'll find when you watch Tampa play, and teams that play against Tampa, they normally will like to run more to their right than they do to their left, and justifiably so. They're concerned about running against Leroy Selman, the defensive right end, number 63, and also the great young rookie, Hugh Green, number 53.
Yeah, Tony Pearson going left, Tony Hill and Drew Pearson, the wide receivers, and Danny White to the second man, Tony Dorsett, trying to get outside. Richard Wood grabs him and drops him inside the 30 at about the 28-yard line. There should be a lot said about the offensive line for Dallas, considering the fact, Hank, they lost Shaw and Fitzgerald. They had to move Rafferty to center. They had to take Kurt Peterson, a defensive lineman in college, and make an offensive lineman, and they've done a great job.
Yes, they really have. And talking about a great job, Herb Scott, number 68, the left guard that time, pulled and made a beautiful block on the left linebacker, Andy Hawkins, on that counter play.
So 3rd and 1 at the 27-yard line. Tony Hill wide right. Drew Pearson goes wide left. And they'll stay with Dorsett, and he is hit at about the line of scrimmage and might have bowled forward for a yard. Hugh Green dropped him almost in his tracks. Talking about the offensive line and Tony Dorsett, Tony this year won a half a dozen MVP awards from individual games, each time receiving a pair of $280 cowboy boots. So wisely, he gave 5 pairs to the offensive line.
Well, he's a pretty good politician. You heard what he did with his jersey. He sent that to President Reagan.
Yes,
number
he did.
33, because President Reagan wore 33 as a player.
He was also the 33rd governor of the state of California.
Yes.
Ricky Bell standing on the Tampa Bay side. Remember the 77 draft when Tampa Bay took Ricky Bell, and Dallas, with the 30-second clock going down to 4, and White in a hurry now, handing off to Springs, and he is hit head-on at the 27-yard line, and down he goes. And we have 31 seconds left in the first quarter. 3 of the 4 linebackers, Johnson, Green, and Wood, all in on the hit. It was just enough, however, to pick up the first down.
Yeah, they got enough of a surge from the offensive line on the right side. Kurt Peterson, Jim Cooper, Rafferty all got off the ball in good shape, and he got enough yardage for the first down.
So it'll be 1st and 10 on the Buccaneer 26-yard line. 20 seconds left in the first quarter and no score. And there goes Pearson left, Hill right, and Dupre, the tight end, goes to the left side. Dorsett, the deep man, out of the eye. First man is Springs, and a sizable hole on the left side, but then the Bucs seal it up quickly with Cecil Johnson leading the charge to drop him at about the 22-yard line. That would be a pickup of 4. And time has run out. The first quarter is history here in Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. The Dallas Cowboys, nothing. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, nothing. At the start of the second quarter, no score, but Dallas on its second interception by Dennis Thurman now has its 2nd and 6 at the Buccaneer 22. I'm Vin Scully along with Hank Strand. Hill and Pearson in a slot right. Butch Johnson is in the game now, wide left. Dorsett behind Springs. And it's a draw to Dorsett. However, it's read pretty well. He's able to hook away from two men, but Brantley comes along to bury him. And the man he got away from originally was Leroy Selman, number 63, who had a shot at him in the backfield.
Yeah, Leroy got penetration that time. It came across the line of scrimmage, but was not in a good tackling position. And for that reason, Dorsett gave him a little bit of a dipsy-do inside, a little jello move outside, and got away from him, but he still didn't make much yardage on the play.
So it's a 3rd and 5 from the Buccaneer 21-yard line. Pearson right and Hill left. And now they'll have Drew Pearson in motion to the left. And then he goes back again. With Springs releasing from the backfield, the pass is for Pearson, and he is hit hard by Wood, among others, and at the bottom is Cecil Johnson. Boy, flying out of the backfield was Springs to misdirect, and then it was Pearson making the catch.
I'll tell you, White threw a perfect strike that time to Drew Pearson. You can't throw the ball any better. It was kind of a delay inside. He had people around him. Hawkins was around him, and also number 55 or 56 Johnson. But in spite of that, they still got the ball right on the numbers, and he picks up the gain on the play. A beautiful shot by White.
Drew Pearson has now caught a pass in 17 straight playoffs, and it makes it 1st and 10 at the Buccaneer 13-yard line. Play action fake to Dorsett. White setting up. Now going high out of the end zone. Tony Hill had run out of real estate. No good. You know, it's interesting, too. Statistically, the team to score first figures to win a playoff game at something like 70%. And Dallas has scored first in 10 of 11 victories this year.
And look at Tony Hill. He was open there, but there was a play-action pass. The weak linebacker was blitzing, Green. But in spite of that, he ran right out of the ballpark and made the catch, but out of the end zone, and it's incomplete.
So it is 2nd and 10 at the 13-yard line of the Bucs. The deepest penetration prior to this for Dallas was the Buccaneer 35, but they're on the move now. Second man, Dorsett, big hole as he gets inside the 10. Logan had a hand on his ankle, but that's not enough to bring down Dorsett. So he went by Logan and got inside the 10 to the 9-yard line.
That time they lined up with double tight end to make sure they had a hat on everybody. They faked the Springs and give it right up the middle to Dorsett, number 65. Kurt Peterson is trapping a linebacker on the play, gets a good surge, and they take the ball down to about the 9-yard line.
And that look of bewilderment on Dave Logan as if to say, where he go? So it is 3rd and 6. The ball is just about on the 9-yard line. Pearson coming wide left. Hill and Saldy, but now Saldy coming towards the line of scrimmage. White going over the middle to Pearson. And make it Tony Hill. Tony Hill making the reception to put Dallas out in front 6-0. Oh, what a beautiful play to watch.
Yeah, terrific play. And there you see Hill just running a slant pass coming down and breaking behind the linebacker. The ball is thrown right where it had to be, not too high. He leaps for the ball between two defenders, holds on, makes the catch. Dallas ahead, 6-0.
Tony Hill had 4 touchdown receptions during the regular year. Though he's on the board handling White's touchdown. Danny threw for 22 during the regular season. And now Septien, who was 40 out of 40 in points. Charlie Waters, the hold and the kick is good. So with 12 minutes and 38 seconds left to go in the first half, the Dallas Cowboys on the second interception by Dennis Thurman drive for a touchdown on the pass to Tony Hill. Septien kicking off and rooting it deep. Going backward is James Owens from about 4 yards in. He decides to keep it there. So Tampa Bay will put it in play 1st and 10 on the Buccaneer 20-yard line. The scoring drive, which started, of course, with Dennis Thurman's second interception, and they put it in play on the Buccaneer 47. 11 plays took it in. They passed to Tony Hill from 9 yards out, and Septien, a perfect 41 out of 41 this year.
So far you talk about field position, Ben. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had to average 84 yards on their 3 possessions. The Cowboys only 43, and that's why they lead 7-0.
Owens in motion to the right, and it's Wilder, and he's out across the 25 into the 30-yard line. John Dutton, number 78, making the tackle and bringing him down just about at the 30, though it's very close to a first down depending upon where they spot it.
And again, we talked about it earlier, but I'll mention it again. Tampa must do a good job of getting yardage on 1st and 10. They have to mix up their run and passing. They just cannot be a one-dimension team. They cannot hope or expect to be Dallas if they have to continue to throw against their 6 defensive backs.
So 2nd down and inches for a first down. Ball almost on the 30, and that's where they have to go to get the first. Wilder and Owens, second man Owens, hurdling over the pile to pick up the first down at the 31-yard line, and the last man to see enter the pile was Michael Downs.
And Randy White, number 54, he really got good penetration, got a piece of the ball carry, but could not hold on. Had he been able to hold on, he'd have stopped the play for no gain.
For Tampa Bay, they have really been unable to get much of a drive going. The first time they had to surrender the ball on their 25. The second time they got it out to their own 47. Of course, the last time they were intercepted and returned to their own 47. 1st and 10 for Doug Williams, 7-0 Cowboys. And James Owens can't get it on the setup screen, and Dede Lewis was right there to cover him.
Randy White put a lot of pressure on him, was right in his face, and he threw the ball before he actually wanted to, and that's why he threw it poorly on the play.
There's a study of frustration. The Bucs 6 plays and punted, 7 plays, an interception by Dennis Thurman, 3 plays, an interception by Dennis Thurman. Randy White, big guy, 6'4", 250, leading that charge for the Cowboys. 2nd and 10 for Doug Williams at the Buccaneer 31. Williams hazed by Dutton, still gets it away to Owens. Owens at the 40, 45, 50, and tripped up at the last minute by the rookie Everson Walls, or he's really gone to the races. So a busted play turns out very well for the Buccaneers.
You know, that's the great thing about the quarterback, Doug Williams. He's a very resourceful quarterback. He has good escapability skill. He's flushed out of the pocket a little bit to the right, goes back into the middle, looks like he's going to throw, and while a defensive player has his arms around his legs, he releases the ball to James Owens, and he comes up with a big play. They're very capable and a very dangerous team offensively, especially when he has to scramble.
Nice thing about Owens, if you're a coach, he has handled the ball 127 times this year and fumbled only once. So it is 1st and 10 on the Cowboy 49. First time the Buccaneers have been able to move into Dallas territory. And Wilder is moving. He's across the 45 and necktied at about the 42-yard line, and again Michael Downs coming up to hit him.
That time they sent the young halfback James Owens in motion to the left and ran a counter play back to the right side to Wilder, and a nice gain on the play. They're sending Owens in motion to the left. Waters is covering him man for man. We can look for something to Owens on Waters if they get good field position with their in right now.
So it is 2nd and 4 on the Cowboy 43-yard line. Kevin House is wide left. Theo Bell is wide right. Giles, the tight end, on the left side. But they're going to stay on the ground with Owens, and he's inside the 40 at about the 39-yard line. Randy White hit him and drove him back, and he got help from Bob Brunig.
The Cowboys have to be very concerned about the cutbacks, especially with their 4-3 alignment and one middle linebacker. They can't over-pursue. They have to maintain good angles, and so far they're doing a good job of that.
Tom Landry, what an incredible career. The 3rd winningest coach in history behind the legendary Hallison Lambeau. And on the other side, John McKay, who has won 32 games in his career at Tampa Bay. James Owens hurdling across the 40-yard line with a flag on the play. It would appear he made the first down without the flag, but now let's get the interpretation from Jerry Markwright. Offsides, Dallas.
Jimmy Giles is an excellent tight end, and I'm sure somewhere along the line with his great speed, they're going to try to get a matchup with Giles on the strong safety Waters, or
offside, number 79 defense, first down.
also try to do it with James Owens, possibly, when he goes in motion out of the backfield.
So that makes it 1st and 10 on the Dallas 35-yard line. 7-0 Cowboys, but the Bucs on the move. Send Kevin House left and Theo Bell right. James Owens behind Wilder and Giles in motion. Here comes Owens with Wilder trying to block on it, but there are too many white shirts. Everson Walls and D.D. Lewis. And of course, D.D. stands for Dwight Douglas, two great generals, and that's what he's been for 13 years out on the field for Dallas.
Boy, watch the pursuit angles. Look at D.D. Lewis runs for the sideline with Giles in motion. He's in a good position, shoulder square, good and low, good leverage, and comes in, makes a beautiful tackle. A great shot there, a great picture by Tony Vernon. Beautiful.
D.D. Lewis, one of 14 children, so he said he's accustomed to pushing and shoving, especially around dinner time. Ball at the 36-yard line. So 2nd and 11. And Williams quickly to the left side to Theo Bell, and Bell is down to the 25 and fights, I believe, for the first down. So Theo Bell making a big reception to keep it going.
They have House and Bell on the left side, and it's much easier to throw to the left rather than to the right on that kind of a play because Too Tall Jones is 6'9", Dutton is 6'7", and it's hard to throw over the top of those two people. They're like two pine trees right in the middle of the defense.
Well, they got a measure for the first down, and he just did pick it up by a whisker. So Tampa Bay keeping the drive going. They started, remember, on their own 20-yard line, and they have now driven to the 17 straight here. And actually, if you forget the playoff loss to the Rams, they won 18 straight regular games way back on Thanksgiving of '79 when Houston beat them. That's Giles in motion. And it's James Owens with the ball in motion, and the Cowboys bring him down at the 22-yard line. So he picked up 3. They'll make it 2nd and 7.
That time he was looking to run behind the middle linebacker, but the middle linebacker blitzed on the play. Tom Landry demonstrating something to his quarterback, Danny White, showing a little footwork there. He's allowed to get his pants wrinkled there. Ben?
It's about all. What a career.
He's a super guy along with it. We had a nice visit with him the other day. He never changes. He's always the same. And what a great job he's done, as everybody knows, with his Dallas Cowboys.
2nd and a long 6 from the 22-yard line of Dallas for Doug Williams. House in the slot left. Play action fake to Jerry Eckwood. And under pressure from Jones, he throws it away, and there's a penalty. And let's see.
Has to be intentional grounding. Has to be. There he goes. Play action pass. Look at Too Tall Jones working on Hannah. But what happens, it isn't so much Hannah this time because Jones ran out of the pocket to the right side. Jones had outside leverage. And look at the strength of Jones. He knocks him down like he weighed about 170 pounds. And Doug Williams is 6'4" and weighs about 210.
So Jerry Markwright marching it off against the Bucs, intentionally grounding of the football, and they'll bring it back to the 49-yard line of Dallas.
Intentional grounding, number 12, offense. The ball is left at the spot of the foul, and the down counts 3rd down.
So from 2nd and a long 6, watch
there
this.
You see Too Tall again, rushing, and Hannah's trying to ward him off. But what happens is, you see, he can't block him because Doug goes to the outside. Hannah loses the block, and look at the way he throws him to the turf on the play. Talking about Too Tall Jones.
Hey, Coach, you got to play 3rd and 33 from the Dallas 49. Remember, they were down to the Dallas 22. And Williams looks and decides to take off, and they're going to call him back. There's a flag.
Gene Sanders was offside on the play. Number 74, the left tackle, was moving prematurely on the play.
False start, offense.
So Tampa Bay, when they looked like they really had something going, starting on their own 20-yard line, driving to the Dallas 22, the intentional grounding brought it back to the 49, and now they're in trouble again.
This is the one time they had.
False start, number 74, offense, 3rd down.
Gene Sanders with John McKay on the sideline talking about the play. Sanders went to school down here. He went to Texas A&M. So it's back at the Tampa Bay 46-yard line. So it's 3rd down and 38 yards.
I don't know what you have in your playbook for that kind of yardage.
Silence in the huddle, that's for sure. Kevin House wide left, Theo Bell wide right.
6 defensive backs in the game for Dallas.
Williams ready to throw deep down the left to Kevin House, and House is out of bounds when he makes the reception at the 30-yard line, so it's no good. Right there, Dennis Thurman, who had already picked off 2 today, but for Kevin House, he's caught 9 touchdown passes, but he couldn't hold on to that going OB.
You know, House did not give himself enough room, sideline room on the play, was running an outside play. Boy, that was close to having both feet in bounds. It sure was, wasn't it?
He tried to get those toes down and just missed. James Jones standing on the Cowboy 10-yard line, and Larry Swider will be kicking from the Buccaneer 35. And gets it away. Jones comes up to the 11-yard line. Brad White couldn't get him, and he's still on his feet, still going, got away from Hugh Green and fought his way out to the 35-yard line before he's finally brought down by Larry Swider, the punter.
Very poor tackling on the part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers specialty teams. Scott Brantley, number 52, had a good shot but missed, and that's why he was able to get as much yardage on the play.
Leading Tampa Bay 7-0, a 9-yard pass to Tony Hill by Danny White, accounting for the score. 2 interceptions by Dennis Thurman, and a tremendous rush by Dallas against Doug Williams. Langdon Scully along with Hank Stram, 6:39 to the half, and it's 1st and 10 Cowboys on their own 35. It'll be Tony Dorsett outside, and he does get outside. Richard Wood finally pushes him out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Interesting in that 3-4 situation, you hear a lot about with 4 linebackers how they have good tackle angles on a runner and you can't get outside, but Dorsett made it look pretty easy.
Well, he did that time because they ran a counterplay, meaning that he took a step to the right to freeze the linebackers so that the offensive lineman could get an angle on them, and then he ran back to the left side. Also, Dallas has to run some reverses when they get good field position to cut down on the pursuit of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Only 2nd and 2 from the 42-yard line. Tony Dorsett is out for James Jones, but they go to Springs. Springs gets outside and is knocked out of bounds at midfield. Cedric Brown finally took him down, but before he got out, he got into Tampa Bay territory inside the 48.
Ran right at Leroy Selman that time, number 63, and also Green. Green was blocked very well that time, and the ball carrier Springs bounces to the outside and picks up another nice gain in the play.
Ron Springs, who scored 12 touchdowns this year, 3 years out of Ohio State, and he caught 46 passes. He tied Tony Hill in that department, so he's a double threat.
And Tony Dorsett, 33, made a nice block on Green that time.
1st and 10 on the Buccaneer 47. White after a little play action to Springs, throwing, and it is not picked off. It was intended for Tony Hill, but it went sailing by Hill, and it was short hopped at about the 25-yard line. And the man who was right there was Mike Washington, and he's as upset about that as he was about what happened yesterday to Alabama, his old school.
Yeah, he was upset about that. He was really squeaking and singing the blues about that game, wasn't he? It was a great game, incidentally, here in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl.
So Danny White almost intercepted. He had only 13 all year. Now he'll have 2 tight ends in there with Joe Dupree and Jay Salty. Pearson and Hill go slot left.
Defensive backs of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play very deep, and for that reason, you ought to be able to throw in front of, just like they tried to do on the last play.
And White looking to the left side and throwing to Tony Hill, and he got away from Washington, but he didn't have any room to maneuver, and Hugh Green just falls on him at about the 37-yard line of Tampa Bay. Very close to a 1st down.
Yeah, Hill, watch, going downfield and just breaking to the outside on Mike Washington, who is very loose. I mean, he's deep, and for that reason, you ought to be able to throw in front. They have to exercise patience and be patient enough to throw the ball in front of those defensive backs and between the linebackers.
So it's 3rd and about a yard to go on the 37-yard line of Tampa Bay. Time left, 5:41 in the half. with Springs leading the way. He was tripped up as he got across. Andy Hawkins, number 59, tripped him up. However, he had enough momentum to carry him across and I believe pick up the first down. It was a good effort by Hawkins.
The other guy that did a good job on the play was Neil Colsey, the strong safety. Boy, he came up tough just like you have to. And he was also responsible for the trip-up.
In watching Jerry Markwright, we'll see now about an official's timeout right now as they're checking about first down. It was a big trip-up by Andy Hawkins with 5:17 to the half. Out at the 7-yard line.
Boy, Tampa's really had bad field position on the 5 occasions they've had the ball. They've had it on the -21, -20, -7, -20, -8.
So Danny White getting some congratulations, and well, he should. 19 of 81 during the regular year. He kicked out inside the 20, and he has laid out 2 beauties here so far in the first half. 4:52 left in the half. First and 10, Tampa Bay on the Buccaneer 8-yard line with Dallas leading 7-0. And we have 4:52 left in the half. In motion is Giles, and they'll stay on the ground to Wilder, and he carries out across the 10, and they stack him up at about the 12. You know, touchdowns get the headlines, but probably the biggest single dismaying factor for John McKay is the heat and pressure put on Doug Williams, particularly by Ed Jones.
Well, that's one thing that you have to be able to do as a quarterback. You must be able to get back into the pocket, step and throw, and be able to follow through. The minute that you get harassed as much as he has been harassed by the defensive left end, Tutal Jones, you got to throw falling away and throwing on the move, and it's very difficult to complete passes on that kind of a situation. That's what's happened so far.
Well, it is 2nd and 5 from the 13-yard line. Second man is James Owens, but he's going to be stacked up almost immediately. The first man was Bob Brunick to hit him, so Owens can't move. And, of course, late in this second quarter, the biggest individual play was the ruling of intentional grounding the football that really brought Tampa Bay to a halt. They had it 2nd and 6 on the Dallas 22, and they just kept going backwards in.
Yes, they had good field position. It looked like they were going to do something. That time, Mike Brunick, I should say Bob Brunick, the middle linebacker, blitzed down the play and guessed right and blitzed right into the hole. 53, the middle linebacker.
3rd and 4 on the Buccaneer 14-yard line.
Well, they got 6 defensive backs again, huh?
Theo Bell going left, and Kevin House picked up by Everson Walls going right. And Williams throwing deep to Wilder, and he has run out of real estate. Wilder going deep. Anthony Dickerson, number 51, who's been the captain of the special teams, was right there with him.
And it looked like Wilder needed a Canadian field that time because it looked like he was out of bounds going up the field and then came back up the field and then caught the ball out of bounds on the play.
So Tampa Bay and Larry Swider called in to do the punting. James Jones, the return man, standing at the 45-yard line for Dallas.
And that time again, Dutton and Tutal Jones, 6'9".
Trouble now, but he got it away. A poor kick off the side of his foot, and it goes out of bounds around the 35-yard line. They'll mark it at the 36. So all kinds of troubles now for Tampa Bay. As Larry Swider has to try and kick it on the run and barely gets it away. And Dallas now moves into excellent position following a 22-yard punt, about half his average. Dallas leading Tampa Bay 7-0, but after a dropped snap by Larry Swider, his hurried punt travels only 22 yards, and Dallas in perfect position at the Tampa Bay 36-yard line, 1st and 10. 2 tight ends, Billy Joe Dupre and Doug Crosby in there. Springs and Dorsett in the eye behind White. Play action fake as White going to the right side to Drew Pearson, and he made the reception inside the 25. They'll spot it at the 23-yard line. So they picked up enough, 13 yards for a first down.
The receivers, there you see him. Drew Pearson going down and breaking to the outside and knew exactly where his feet had to be. Keeps them both in bounds. The ball is thrown right on the money on the outside, and another reception in front of the defensive backs. That's what they have to do. You can't get behind them. You have to throw in front of both the defensive backs, the left cornerback Norris Thomas and also Mike Washington.
1st and 10 on the 23-yard line of Tampa Bay. White going to spring it out to the right side to Dorsett, and he got by Cedric Brown and goes inside the to about the 13-yard line, and Cedric Brown had a shot at him and came up empty.
That time he had the option to throw the ball either downfield or throw the ball into the flat, depending how the linebacker played. There was a pretty good drop. He throws it outside to Dorsett, and it is very difficult to tackle Dorsett one-on-one as a linebacker or a defensive back. Cedric Brown was right there, but he made an inside-outside move and got a big gain on the play.
Well, a check for the first down is going to be awfully close. And they're about 3 inches shy. So second and inches at the 13, and there is the great Tony Dorsett. Remember, Seattle traded a number 2 pick for Dallas's 1 and 3. The number 1 pick was Ricky Bell by Tampa Bay, and Dallas moved in and claimed Tony Dorsett. You talk about the tale of 2 cities. There's a tale of 2 backs.
Yes, and he's a lightning back that can score any place in the field. Well, you talk about a guy making a sparks fly. He does.
Second and inches from the 13. Dorsett behind Springs. In motion is Jay Saldy, and following Saldy is Springs, and he picks up the first down to about the 11-yard line. Saldy acting like a blocking back. Number 87 in motion towards the line of scrimmage, and Springs just rode in his wake.
And I think you'll find on short yardage situations, crucial short yardage situations, they're going to run to their right a lot more than they're going to run to their left, and that shows a lot of intelligence because of the 2 great people on the right side, Green and also Leroy Selman, 53 and 63 respectively.
Saldy, 6 years out of South Carolina, really helping to make that first down. He's big enough to throw blocks for you at 6'3" and 223. So we're down to 2 minutes to the half. First and 10 on the Buccaneer 11, 7-0 Dallas. Brandon Erb will be back with Terry Bradshaw and Roger Staubach with a look at first half highlights. That'll be coming up at halftime. That's Cecil the Diesel. That's what John McKay calls him. Cecil Johnson, the roommate of Tony Dorsett, 5 years out of Pittsburgh. He replaced Dewey Selman was hurt. And the Cowboys coming at him and everybody else in an orange jersey. They have a first and 10 on the Buccaneer 11-yard line. And White pitching to Dorsett. He got by Colsey, and he gets inside the 10. Neil Colsey came racing in to try to drop him, and he got right by him.
Yeah, he provided a good force, and he slowed the play down enough for somebody from the inside to make the play, specifically Johnson, number 56, who came across from his inside linebacker position in good position, good angle. You see Hawkins chasing from the backside. He gets a piece, and there you see the other defensive linebackers coming into the picture along with Dave Stalls, number 65.
So it is second and 9 from the 10-yard line. And Danny White going into the end zone, broken up by Cedric Brown, intended for Tony Hill, and Brown is talking to himself. Of course, he's had 7 interceptions in his last 6 games. He was the MVP in that thrilling victory for Tampa Bay over Detroit. Not that time.
This would be a good time. Then here's Green blitzing, number 53 on the play. He is blocked. There's enough room to throw the ball. He throws it inside. Good coverage. Good coverage by the defensive back, Cedric Brown, number 34. And the ball goes incomplete.
Brown early this year went 81 yards with an interception against Green Bay, so he can pick them. Third and 9 from the 10-yard line for Danny White. 7-0 Dallas. White faking, getting some pressure from Dave Logan, retreating to the 25. Gets away from Logan, who just can't stay up with him. Now with Selman hitting, he throws in the end zone to Butch Johnson for a touchdown.
Flag down on the play, however. Flag down on the play. We'll see what they call.
Illegal procedure against Dallas.
I think it was Drew Pearson, number 88. I'm not sure, but let's see.
Okay. We thought perhaps it was 86 going by in the shade, coming out of the sunlight.
No touchdown. No touchdown. Illegal motion. Number 87 offense. Third down.
Oh, 87. Ty
this game. 10 touchdowns given up on passing against Tampa Bay, only 2 to wide receivers, and of course they've already been burned by Tony Hill.
You know, they're awful tough down here inside the 20-yard line because they rush 3 and they drop back 8, and there's not enough there's not enough room back there with 20 yards for those 8 big players. Here we see Saldi going in motion, and he breaks up field, and Green, and he left the line of scrimmage, I think, a little bit prematurely, and that's why they called illegal motion on the play. And Green, number 53, was all over him that time like a wet blanket.
So Jay Saldi, who had thrown a key block earlier for a first down for Springs, this time is guilty of moving around. 6-year man from South Carolina who was a free agent back in 1976. One of 3 tight ends with Dupre, Cosby, and Saldi. Don't forget tomorrow, Brad and the crew moving to San Francisco, where the 49ers will try to stop Rob Carpenter and the high-flying New York Giants. CBS Sports coverage begins at 4:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. And of course, next week, the NFC Championship, depending upon the outcomes of these 2 games, today and tomorrow. And all of it leading up to January the 24th and Super Bowl 16 on Pontiac. So it is 3rd and 14 for Danny White. And White in the end zone, deflected by Neil Colsey. He just did get his left hand on the ball. And you had Crosby down there along with Drew Pearson. But it was Colsey to break it up.
Well, I tell you, Tampa's amazing the way they can cover the field with those zone defenses. They play 8 men back there with rush 3. There you see people trying to break open. But in spite of that, why Neil Colsey, number 20, is right there to make a play on an errant pass. Really, the ball was thrown a little bit too high and behind the receiver on the play.
You know, the Cowboys have never drafted a man who kicked a field goal for them. All their kickers have either been free agents or acquired by trade, and here's one of them, Raphael Septien, a hold by Charlie Waters at the 22. The 32-yard field goal is up and good, and he's deadly from that area. He set a club record of field goals, 27 out of 35 this year, so Raphael Septien rounds it off and makes it 10-0 Dallas.
The story of this game, Ben, very obviously has been field position. The Dallas Cowboys are playing on a much shorter field than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Dallas Cowboys have averaged 46 yards so far in this first half, as far as how far they had to travel, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had to play on a field 85 yards long. That kind of a contest, you're in trouble, and it's a wonder they're only losing 10-0 with the way the field position has been in favor of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Buccaneers really had only one drive. They started on their own 20-yard line and got it to a 2nd and 6 on the Dallas 22. But that was the big play, remember, when Ed Jones put tremendous pressure on Doug Williams. Williams guilty of intentionally grounding the ball. That made it 3rd and 33. Then there was an offside to make it 3rd and 38. And the Buccaneers had to give up the football. John Holt, number 21, and James Owens, number 26, deep for Tampa Bay, and Raphael Septien ready to kick off. 10-0 in favor of Dallas. Septien kicking it. Owens from about 4 yards in, bringing it out to the 10, to the 15, and upended at about the 18-yard line. Dennis Thurman, number 32, shaken up on the play. Thurman hit him, but he's down on his knees and not quite ready to get up yet. So Thurman submarining, and he's shaken up. He'll spot the ball at the 19-yard line. Terry Bradshaw on the left, along with Brent and Roger Staubach on the right. Terry Bradshaw with a broken hand, so you notice anything he does is strictly with the left hand.
Yeah, how could you tell the difference between Roger and Terry, right?
Come on out! Well, Thurman shaken up, but he's okay. Eckwood and Wildenauer in the backfield. 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line for Tampa Bay. Williams right behind him is Martin, and Martin brings him down. They're going to get him again for intentionally grounding, I believe.
It's very obvious. He had no place to throw the ball. It's very obvious he was trying to avoid a loss. And that's what the whole thing is all about, the intention of the grounding the ball intentionally, and they called a penalty on the play. Martin coming in, number 79, to put the squeeze on him from the backside.
Doug Williams had only been sacked 18 times this year. But, boy, they've been all over him today.
Intentional grounding, number 12, offense. The down counts, second down. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul.
The ball is placed at the spot of the foul, and the down counts as well. So once again, the Buccaneers in dreadful shape. They have a 2nd and 22. Not as bad as that 3rd and 38 they had, but they're hurting. And you can see only 48 seconds to the half. The ball is back at the Buccaneers' 7-yard line. Second man, and that's Jerry Eckwood out across the 10, dropped at about the 12-yard line. Benny Barnes and John Dutton making the tackle. And to be timeout for Dallas.
Here's the story of the game right here, Ben. Look at the field position. Tampa Bay -21, -20, -7, -20, -8, -19. That averages, they've had to go 85 yards on every, average of 85 on every play. Dallas, on the other hand, on the 47-30, -47, plus 35, 36. They have played on the field as 46 yards long, and that's really been the difference in this contest so far. Field position by Dallas, the lack of same by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And the numbers 7 and 8, of course, indicate 2 fine punts by Danny White, kicking him out of bounds at the Tampa Bay 7 and the Tampa Bay 8. And numbers don't tell you that Dennis Thurman has picked off 2. Doug Williams has been charged twice for intentionally grounding. And for Tom Landry and the Cowboys, they're on the prowl, leading 10-0.
You know, I'm surprised, Ben Riddy, that with the size of Dutton and also Too Tall Jones, 6'9" and 6'7", that they wouldn't roll him out a little bit to get away from that inside pressure and maybe give him a little bit more time to throw the football.
So 3rd and 16. How'd you like to line up against Too Tall Jones at 6'9", 270, ready to come at you? 3rd and 16. And there goes James Owens, and he's out across the 20 to the 25, and the Cowboys bring him down right about there.
Randy White that time wasn't blocked. He didn't have to be blocked. He shot across the line of scrimmage like he was in a starting block. Watch him, 54. Didn't have to block him at all. The right guard, Roberts, comes around on the play. Didn't have to block anybody either because of the big hole. And James Owens, number 26, goes through there for a nice big gain on the play.
However, not enough. It'll be 4th and 4 from the Buccaneer 25-yard line. James Jones goes back to the Cowboy 35. Time 34 seconds left in the half. White out for a respite. Well, Larry Swider, remember, dropped the snap and then got off a hurried 22-yard punt that eventually led to the Dallas field goal by Raphael Septien. And there's James Jones trying to run from here to eternity. And now Anthony Dickerson calling time. And let's check now. No, make it. We thought it's Dana Nafziger who's calling time. With 34 seconds.
The Cowboys are moving around a lot, trying to destroy and disturb the blocking responsibilities of the people up front. They're going to go after this kick and try to block it, try to get it in. 3 or 7 before the half. Didn't get it done, though.
Jones at the 38-yard line to the 50-yard line. Boy, what a block by Dennis Thurman. He knocked John Holt right out of his numbers. Woo. So remember, Thurman was shaken up making a tackle on a kick, but there's nothing wrong with a man who can block like that.
You know what happened on the last play? The Tampa team was trying to get a timeout, but they would not give them a timeout because you can't give a timeout to a team in succession 2 times in a row. They just had a timeout. You can never call another timeout right on top of the one you just called. That's why they did not allow them to go for the timeout on the last play.
So Danny White, with 26 seconds left in the half, will put it in play almost at the Tampa Bay 45-yard line. 26 seconds left in the half. White with a 9-yard touchdown pass to Tony Hill and a 32-yard field goal from Raphael Septien. Hill, Johnson, and Pearson in the spread. takes a shot from Norris Thomas.
There again, a three-man rush, and there you see it. There's a good illustration of Hill going to the outside, makes a kind of a rounded cut, but Thomas comes in and really hits him on the play. Had he caught it, he still might have dropped it.
Norris Thomas, in talking about that, considered a considerable hitter. He has caused 3 fumbles this year. His father-in-law is a Mississippi State senator, and he's thinking about politics. Well, he's not going to get any votes from the man he hit.
Those kind of hits that's forced fumbles and forced mistakes. That time, of course, he was out of bounds. But that's the kind of hitting Tampa is noted for.
2nd and 10 at the 46, and White again dodging people, now throwing across on the left side, broken up. It was intended to Drew Pearson, and Mike Washington had picked him up and broken up the play.
Watch Pearson come off the ball. Colsey in front. Pearson going inside. Washington just watching the quarterback, watching the ball. That's all he's doing. They're playing areas. The ball is up in the air. Then they respond to the ball. And there you see Washington coming in and almost making the interception. They just watch the quarterback. They play their zones. And when the ball's thrown, they scurry for the football and do a super job of it.
So 3rd and 10 on the Buccaneer 45. It's 10-0 Dallas. Don't forget at halftime, Brent with Irv along with Terry Bradshaw and Roger Staubach. Springs and Dorsett staying for the moment, but then Dorsett releases him to down and makes the reception, and Andy Hawkins finally pushes him out of bounds at the 37-yard line of Tampa Bay. Picks up about 8 yards.
And 7 seconds before the end of the half.
For the 4th and 2, Rafael Septien has twice kicked 47-yard field goals, but Septien is not coming on the field. He started to come in and then stayed back. 7 seconds left, and they'll go for the bundle 4th and 2. Drew Pearson wide left, Tony Hill right. Now Doug Cosby is on the left side. White looked left and throws right. Hill goes out of bounds, making a reception. And of course that stops the clock with 3 seconds, and that was all part of the strategy.
And he did not give himself enough room again that time. He was too close to the sideline to make the outside move. By the time the ball was there, he didn't have enough room to make the reception and stay in bounds. He should have lined up a little bit more inside so he would be given more room to run that pattern.
So trying to make the reception, then get out of bounds, stop the clock, and give Septien a shot. Instead, no good, and they have to give the ball over. So for Rafael Septien, waiting for his phone to ring, but it never came about. He's had a big year, a great year, in fact. Second tied with Eddie Murray for points.
And they ought to snap the ball right here while the Cowboys got too many people on the field.
James Owens is to midfield with a flag on the play. Owens is still on his feet and dragged down inside the 30-yard line. It was Michael Downs who hit him back at the 35, and he staggered forward. But the half would appear to be history. Let's make sure.
And there's a flag down on the play.
Substitution foul. Defense, 12 men on the field.
Yeah, he did get the ball snapped. It was a good move on his part because they had about 14 people look like on the field. They snapped the ball, and there's an infraction on the play.
You know, the last time Dallas lost a regular season game at home was on Thanksgiving Day to Houston. And in that particular game, Dallas had Houston punt in the waning moments. It looked like Dallas was going to win, but there was a 12th man on the field charged against Dallas, so they gave the ball back to Houston. They passed for the winning touchdown. The 12th man was Dave Stalls, who is now playing for Tampa Bay in this game.
12 men defensively will have an untimed down, first down.
So the offense given one shot with no time, an untimed down.
I'd throw it downfield as long as I could and hope for some kind of a big play.
Well, it's downfield. No good. And the pass at about the 30-yard line, and there's a flag on the play. And Charlie Waters lowered the boom, and he might be guilty of an infraction because Anthony Dickerson now is restraining Doug Williams, and Jimmy Giles says, hey, take your hands off my quarterback. So when Dickerson touched Williams, here comes Jimmy Giles to make sure. Let's take a look at that hit.
And watch the hit. Boy, he really gets a shot. say because all the players are in our view, but he delivered a blow out of bounds. And the half cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Well, it'll be the second time that Jerry Markwright, with the clock showing nothing, personal foul, and the personal foul against Charlie Waters on that delayed hit and the pass. We'll go to the Dallas 43.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 41. Defense, automatic first down, untimed down. First down.
Charlie Waters, out of Clemson for 11 years. He has played for Dallas. He is talking about retirement. On the back of his helmet, there's a little tiger paw. He was elected to the Clemson Hall of Fame. And he's unhappy, and the crowd is really mad.
They'll throw it up again, I'm sure, trying to get a big play, something before the half. And he can't get it away, and it's an incomplete pass at the 40-yard line. And once again, they're all over Doug Williams, and it was Harvey Martin putting the heat on him, and they have eaten up the Tampa Bay quarterback in the first half. So the half is history. Dallas holding the lead and commanding the ball game. Dallas 10 and Tampa Bay nothing. Okay, Hank, we've been listening to quarterbacks talk about the first half. Roger and Terry talking about what quarterbacks live and die with. What about the coach? Put yourself in John McKay's shoes. What would you be talking about at halftime? I think you have to hang your hat, Ben, on the fact, as far as selling your squad, on the fact that really there's nothing really wrong with what's happened, except that we haven't had a chance to move the ball because of bad field position. You have to sell your squad on the fact that they have to know that that's what they have to do. They have to do a better job, especially on 1st and 10 in the second half, plus the fact that they have to do something and make some adjustments as far as being able to block Too Tall Jones and Harvey Martin. How do you do that? I think you must do it by moving the pocket a little bit, blocking down the tight end on the defensive end, but you've got to make something happen to sell your squad on the fact that you can do something about what has happened really in the first half.
You probably have to do a little bit of a psych job on Doug Williams. He has not only completed only 3 out of 13 in the first half, but he has been intercepted twice by Dennis Thurman. He has been mugged a couple of times by the Dallas line. He's been caught twice intentionally grounding the ball. He needs a little lifting.
That's not his fault. I think you have to realize that really what's happened with him, he hasn't had a chance to step up into the pocket. He hasn't had time to throw the ball. Really, the team that's done a poor job offensively really is Dallas, because they've had many opportunities and haven't done a good job of getting points on the scoreboard.
Well, we'll get to the start of the second half right after this message. Bill Caprice, who was originally drafted by Houston this year and picked up as a free agent by Tampa Bay, kicking deep, and it'll be James Jones in the end zone, and he decides not to run it out. So Dallas will start off the second half in possession, 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line. And the Cowboys leading handily 10-0. You can see the numbers so far. The turnovers, 2 pivotal ones, the interception by Dennis Thurman.
And really, everything is very, very even, considering the fact that Dallas has really dominated the game because they've had more of an opportunity to do something offensively than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa's still very much in this game. There's a lot of time left for them to do something.
Springs and Dorsett behind White, with Pearson wide left and a slot left. And here goes Dorsett inside Cooper's block, and they got out across the 25-yard line. Jim Cooper, number 61, throwing the block. And, of course, former Cowboy Dave Stalls, he and Cooper were very close buddies. And they go head-to-head today, part of the fortunes of professional football.
You know, Dallas is not a very, I don't think they're recognized as a very patient team. They're a big play team. They don't like to travel very slowly, but they have to against this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. They just got to stick it at them and run right at that defense, and especially at the linebackers, and make something happen up front.
2nd and 5 from the 25. And Danny White going to Cosby, who's tackled at the 30-yard line. Very close to the first down. If they spot it at the 30, he'll pick it up. And he pick up the first down at the 30-yard line. Just the start of the third quarter. Dallas leading 10-0. Pearson coming left. Salty and Dupre on the right side. White going to Springs, and Springs at the 35 goes down underneath a hit by Stalls, who threw a block at him, and Springs kept on going out to about the 37-yard line. So pick up at 7, where it'll be second and almost 3.
Neil Colsey again did a good job of coming up from the strong safety position and forcing the play inside, but in spite of that, Dorsett made good yardage on the play. But here again, they have to throw the ball short. They must run at the defense. They just be patient and move the ball and get first down.
So second and 3 from the Cowboy 37. And it'll be Springs again with a good block by Dorsett on Hugh Green. And finally going out of bounds is Springs at the 42. Tony Dorsett threw a good block, and Hugh Green just cut his legs right out from under him.
Yes, that's the second or third time he's done that. Talking about Tony Dorsett, number 33, blocking number 53, the great rookie linebacker from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, number 53.
And as we mentioned earlier, Hugh Green went to Pittsburgh because Tony Dorsett personally recruited him. And watch Dorsett doing a little recruiting.
Watch, he's got an inside, he's taking an inside course, pushing on the play. Dorsett gets outside leverage and blocks him with a good shoulder block and knocks him down on the play.
First and 10 at the 42-yard line. And White going to the left side, in and out of the hands of Tony Hill. Hugh Green was right there with him. You know, Tony Hill has been involved in at least one 20-yard pass play in each of the Cowboys' last 11 games. And in 8 of those games, he's been involved in at least one 30-yarder. So you're waiting for an explosive play with Hill.
I'm going to tell you another thing, Ben. The Cowboys have dropped some balls in front of the defensive backs of the game so far. And they probably will continue to do so, because what happens is they know as soon as they make the catch, they're expecting to get hit by the Tampa Bay defensive backs. And sometimes the concentration isn't like it should be. They're concerned about getting hit, and they drop the football. And I think that's what happened on the last play.
Second and 10 on the Dallas 42. White on a play-action fake to Dorsett. Now throws to Dorsett, and what a screen in front of him. And there he goes to the 35 to the 33-yard line. Mike Washington on the top, Norris Thomas at the bottom. First down, Dallas. And Dorsett hit the road.
At that time, Ben, they got him in a safety blitz, an outside blitz. Watch it. Dorsett faking in the middle, a middle screen. Beautiful blocking up front. Tom Rafferty, number 64, is out front in good shape, along with Herb Scott and Peterson. But Dorsett does a great job of running on the play and picks up a big gain.
First and 10 on the Tampa Bay 33-yard line. Second man, Tony Dorsett got away from Andy Hawkins, and he gets outside to the 20, 15, and finally goes out of bounds. Norris Thomas and Cedric Brown knock him down at the 7-yard line.
Another misdirection play, another counter play, taking inside, taking a step, going back, watching. Watch Dorsett, number 33, goes to the left. Watch the linebackers move with him. Hawkins, number 59, had a chance to make the tackle, missed the tackle. Dorsett makes a lot of people miss tackles. Number 41, Thomas, is in hot pursuit and is finally helped by Cedric Brown, number 34, and they finally knock him out of bounds at about the 7.
11 carries for 53 yards for Dorsett. First and goal at the 7-yard line for Dallas, leading 10-0. And it'll be Dorsett. No, instead it's James Jones in there now. And Jones barreling through the 5. We haven't got any signal as to whether he made it or not. It looks like they're going to spot it just shy of the goal line. So 23 for 33. It was 23 skidoo for James Jones.
They're doing a good job of making something happen up front. They're just coming right after him. And that's what you have to do against Tampa. You must be patient. You got to run the ball. That's what they did. Got it in there very, very close for the touchdown. James Jones, number 23, running on the play. It was a short trap with the left guard trapping on the play. The left guard being Herb Scott, number 68.
Second and goal from the 1. Springs and Jones behind White. 3 tight ends. Salty in motion. Springs following Salty for the touchdown. That's the same play they used earlier for a big first down as the tight end in motion.
Pittsburgh initiated that concept years ago with it coming back in motion and trapping on the inside. Most teams in the league are now using it, and Jay Saldy, number 87, did a good job of trapping the defensive right tackle on the play. Touchdown. Springs going in for the 6 points.
So Raphael Septien, who is perfect, 40 for 40 during the regular year. He has a point and a field goal today. Charlie Waters holding. It's 16-0 Dallas. The kick punched it through. So thanks to a couple of big runs by Tony Dorsett, the Cowboys went from their own 20-yard line and punched it over, and they now have a commanding 17-0 lead in the third quarter. The Cowboys go 80 yards in 9 plays. Springs punching it over from 1 yard out, and there were 2 great runs by Tony Dorsett, one at the end of a screen pass and the other just on his own. And the Cowboys really asserting themselves now with 10:52 left in the third, leading 17-0. Raphael Septien kicking off at the 35-yard line with Holden Owens deep, and Owens looking up in the sunlight is going to bring it out of the end zone. To the 10, 15, to the 20, 25, to the 30, and takes a lick and goes out of bounds at the 33-yard line. So a nice return by James Owens. First and 10 at the 33. Tomorrow, and we understand it is pouring rain in San Francisco. It's been raining on and off all week. They also tell us it's a 100% chance of rain tomorrow, and it'll be a problem for both ball clubs, the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. 4:30 Eastern Time from Candlestick Park. So first and 10 on the Buccaneer 33, and they're down 17-0.
He's got a good situation with Owens on Waters here.
Well, he looked right. Now he gets the rush and throws low and incomplete, intended for Kevin House coming back. Everson Walls right there with him. And a lot of rush from Jones and Dutton as usual.
Yeah, James Owens that time was one-on-one on Waters. A good matchup. He tried to hit him on the outside, but he didn't have time to do anything. The rush has really been murder as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are concerned. A lot of people are going to blame Doug Williams for having a bad day, but he can't throw the ball if he doesn't have time, and he doesn't have the protection from the people up front.
Well, you know, the Cowboy defense under heavy criticism earlier this year, but they have really been superb in the last 5 games, averaging only 11 points per game. And they have the Bucs down 17-0 today. Second man, James Owens, trying to get outside. Randy White was chasing him, and he's brought down by Dennis Thurman at the 40-yard line and just across it to the 41. So that's a pickup of almost 8 yards. It's third and a long 2.
Yeah, Dallas really did a good job on first and 10 on that last drive. They had the ball on first and 10 5 times and picked up 4 or more on each occasion.
Well, Tampa Bay trying to come back now on a third down call for Doug Williams. And he has it caught, juggled, but Kevin House holds on to it at midfield, and they pick up their first down, and Everson Walls holds on to Kevin House. So Williams working the ball to midfield.
That's one of the few times in the game so far where Doug Williams has had a chance to get back into the pocket, step up, throw, follow through, and he had the occasion. He put the ball right on the money to Kevin House, and they got a first down. This is a very important drive for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So first and 10 at midfield. Theo Bell goes wide right. O'Radovich and Giles, 2 tight ends on the left side, and that's where Owens goes, right into some white shirts. Randy White and Mike Hegman drop in for a loss. So despite loading up with 2 tight ends on the left side, Dallas came right through and at it.
There's never any mystery as to why you make yardage or why you do not. You have to do a job up front, blocking people, knocking people off the line of scrimmage, making something happen up front, controlling the line of scrimmage. They haven't done that so far in the game.
So it is second and 12 on the Tampa Bay 48. On first down, look at the difference. It's better than 5 yards on first down for Dallas, a little more than 1 yard for Tampa Bay.
It's throwing popcorn at the stone wall when you can't make more than a yard and a half on first and 10.
Williams in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Kevin House. And again, Everson Walls, the rookie.
understand. I've said it many times during the season. I can't understand on a day like this why he's wearing gloves. The ball's a little high, but he has no chance whatsoever. It didn't look like he saw it out in front well enough, and then it bounced off and falls incomplete.
It was a very foggy, rainy, miserable early morning, but it has turned into a beautiful day. It was 56 degrees and sunshine at the start of the game. So now it is 3rd and 12 from the Buccaneer 48. Wilder and Owens behind Williams, Bell and House, the wide receivers. Benny Barnes chasing Williams, who throws on the run. No good, intended for Theo Bell. Everson Walls is there. The rookie from Grambling. And there's a flag on the play.
And there again, Benny's got to run for his life to get away from the pursuit of the inside people. Holding on the play, he'll be declined. And of course, they'll have to kick the football.
Holding, number 68, offense, declined, 4th down.
Well, that time, George Yarno guilty of holding. And Larry Swider will be kicking from the Buccaneer 35-yard line. James Jones is standing back at the Cowboy 12. 8:24 left in the third, 17-0 Dallas. That's quite a shot. The pressure on the snapper. Leonard got it away, and James Jones will watch that thing go into the end zone. So Swider kicks it into the touchback, and Dallas will take over 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line. 8:17 left in the third. It's all Dallas so far, 17-0. 8:17 left in the third. It's all Dallas, and again, a tribute to the great Tom Landry.
Well, it's funny. You know, we were out there watching practice the other day, and I asked Tom specifically. I said, Tom, how do you feel about your squad, the attitude of the squad? He said, I really don't know. I really don't know. I asked John McKay the same question. He felt very good about the way they work. So really and truly, how can you ever tell?
You never can, except you do know that Landry is 17-12 in 29 previous. Here's Doug Crosby at the 20-yard line, so with all the maneuvering, he didn't really get anywhere. Hugh Green was right there to knock him out of bounds.
And what has to happen as far as Tampa is concerned, they must make some kind of a big play. They have to make something happen defensively. They have to force a fumble, get an intercepted pass, block a kick, do something to get back into this football game.
For John McKay, he has seen Doug Williams throw 4 for 17 with considerable heat on him all time for only 58 yards. Meanwhile, Danny White has only passed for 85 yards. He's 9 for 20. And the big runner, Dorsett, 11 carries for 53 yards. 2nd and 10 from the 20. White over the middle to Billy Joe Dupree, and he's taken down at the 20-yard line. Cecil Johnson finally brings him down. That's very close to the first down. In fact, it's spotted across the line, and that means first down.
Well, that time White did a good job of reading the play. A play-action fake. He looked to the left. It was double cover. He went right back. Hugh Green was dropping off into the area where he wanted to throw the ball initially. He saw Green in the area, came back to the tight end coming across the middle, made the reception, and a big play again for the Dallas Cowboys.
John McKay, knowing he's in trouble, particularly here in Dallas, although would you believe in playoff games, the Cowboys have a better road record than they do at home. Not much. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. Springs gets across out to about 2 yards. Dave Logan put a bear hug on him at the 32. The Cowboys in road playoff games have won 7 and lost 4. And at home, they're 8 and 5 going into this one.
Well, the name of the game is win, and that's exactly what they have done. Boy, what a super job they have done through the years consistently as a top-notch organization in the National Football League.
Of course, when you look at that footnote, the only thought is it doesn't make any difference how you get here as long as you get here. And that's the story for Tampa. 2nd and 7 at the 33. The motion is Pearson. White going quickly to Dorsett at the 35-yard line, and he's boxed in and driven out of bounds. John Holt, number 21, with Richard Wood right there with him.
That time they blitzed the linebacker on the weak side meaning the area on the other side of the tight end. The back was wide open. He got it to him in good shape. And again, I hate to belabor the point, but that's the way you have to attack the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You must run patiently, and you must throw the ball patiently, because they dare you to throw the ball in front, and they're going to try to tackle you and scrape the ball loose. So far, they have not been able to do that against the Dallas Cowboys.
On a 3rd and 1 at the 40, Dupre, Cosby, and Saldi are all in there. 3 tight ends for Dallas. Dorsett and Springs behind White. In motion is Saldi, and they'll follow him, and Springs with daylight is out across the 45-yard line to the 46. Holt and Thomas, among others, along with Hugh Green. But it's a first down.
We've got Terry Bradshaw up in the box with us. He smiles when he sees that play because he's running an awful lot in Pittsburgh. Jay Saldi goes in motion to the left, double tight. They have 3 tight ends. Watch Saldi come in motion to the left side. Now it's just like a trapping guard. He looks to the inside, and look at the good block he makes. He buries the defensive man, and they make the necessary yardage for the first down.
James Jones is back in there now, giving Tony Dorsett a breather at the 45-yard line where it's 1st and 10. And quick to Springs, and he's across midfield into Buccaneer territory. And of course, the last time Dallas had the football, they went 80 yards for a touchdown to really assert themselves and take command, and that's exactly what they're trying to build up to do again.
You very, very rarely see the Cowboys use this kind of a patient approach. They're very impetuous. They like to do things in a big way, big plays, but they're doing a good job of doing what they have to do against this kind of a defensive structure.
Well, it'll be 2nd and 5 on the Buccaneer 49, and back in is Tony Dorsett. Dorsett has carried the ball 11 times for 53 yards. And he'll take it again inside Cooper's block, and this time he picks up maybe 2 yards. Norris Thomas came up to take Cooper's block early, and that forced the play, and they're able to get Dorsett after maybe a 1.5 to 2 yard pickup.
Norris Thomas, number 41, does a good job. That's his responsibility. He's got to come across there quickly, get penetration, force the play to the inside, and hope he gets pursuit from the inside. It happened that time, and he reduced the size of the gain. It's 3rd and 3.
3rd and 3 at the 47. Dallas started on their own 20 the last time they went 80. They're leading 17-0 with 4:35 left in the 3rd. In motion is Pearson. White under some heat, and down he goes. And the first man to get him is Leroy Selman, number 63. He was all over him. One of the few times that White has been hurried.
Selman has been hurt most of the time during the course of the year. He's healthy now, and boy, when he's healthy, he's tough to block. He has a great combination of size, speed, and quickness. Some defensive people have quickness but no speed. Others have speed and no quickness, but he has them both, and that's why he is such a great player.
6 years out of Oklahoma. So on a 4th and 13, Danny White standing inside his own 30-yard line. John Holt and Theo Bell finally picked up, and White gets it away anyway. And Theo Bell making the reception at about the 34-yard line, but there are flags on the play, so we'll wait and see after that low snap.
It could be a lineman went down prematurely.
That's just what it is. Jerry Markwright, the referee. We have 3:51 left in the 3rd.
Ineligible receiver downfield on the kick. Offense declined. First down. Timeout.
So as you heard Jerry Markwright proclaim the timeout, the ball is on the Tampa Bay 34-yard line. Dallas leading 17-0. Had a touchdown pass from 9 yards to Tony Hill. Tampa Bay puts it in play just shy of their own 35-yard line. 1st and 10. They're down 17-0. Doug Williams trying to find the combination. House and Bell are on the left side. Owens, a wide receiver, on the right. So Wilder all alone. Over the middle behind Giles and picked off by Michael Downs. And Downs is across the 35-yard line. The intended receiver, Jimmy Giles, and the pass was behind him.
Doug Williams winds up in the seat of his pants again.
Michael Downs had 7 interceptions during the regular year, and that's the 3rd pickoff against Doug Williams.
They have a stunt with Martin coming from the outside position up the middle, gets in his face. He throws the ball without, again, being able to follow through. Tries to hit the tight end, Jimmy Giles. It's an errant pass picked up by the safety man, number 26. Michael Downs. And again, Dallas has great field position.
It's a rather poignant moment. Doug Williams talking to Jimmy Giles and Bill Nelson over to talk as well as to what went wrong on that last pass. Giles never turned around, and Michael Downs just moved in and picked it off easily. And what a bitter day for Doug Williams in Tampa Bay. He's now been intercepted 3 times, twice by Dennis Thurman, and this time by Michael Downs. So the Cowboys with 37 intercepts during the regular year to lead, show that they can still pick them off in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you have to give a lot of credit to Ed Jones, John Dutton, Randy White, and Harvey Martin. Boy, what a job they have done on defense. That front four is really dominating the line of scrimmage.
So it's 1st and 10 Cowboys on the Buccaneer 33. And here goes Dorsett outside a block by Donovan, and finally grabbed from behind by Woods at the 28-yard line. But it was Pat Donovan, who's a Pro Bowler, throwing the block that started. Meanwhile, Herbert Scott, another Pro Bowler, was shaken up on the play.
David Lewis is now playing the left linebacker position, number 57 for Hawkins. The guard trapped him that time and he went inside and made yardage on the play of 6 yards.
So 2nd and 4 at the 27. There are the Cowboy Pro Bowlers. Dorsett, Donovan, Jones, Scott, Septien, Walls, and White. James Jones now in there for Tony Dorsett. And Jones releases, and White throws to James Jones, and he's going to be finally brought down by Norris Thomas, but he needed help. Brad White, number 90, and Cecil Johnson, 56, had to come over to help out.
You see how quickly the linebackers and defensive backs got to the point of attack.
We mentioned the 7 Cowboys who are going to the Pro Bowl. Jimmy Giles and Leroy Selman heading that way for Tampa Bay. There's Leroy, along with Dave Stalls, the ex-Cowboy. We have 3:25 left in the 3rd as they check for the first down, and you can see the nose of the football is in front of the chain and the stick. Meanwhile, Herbert Scott, who went down earlier, is over on the sidelines. They're taking care of him. Glenn Titans coming into play for the 7-year man out of Virginia Union. Everything coming up Cowboys ever since they took the opening kickoff and started from their own 20 and briskly moved down the field for a touchdown to make it 17-0. They were on another roll, but finally petered out, and they've come right back on the Michael Downs interception. They have it 1st and 10 on the 23. In motion, Saldi, and of course that's the key for Spring. He follows Saldi's clock inside the 20-yard line, down to about the 18, and the Batman, Richard Wood, who of course was coached at USC by John McKay, making the tackle. Ron Springs from Ohio State.
You know, the great thing about the attack this afternoon, too, is the fact that both running backs have carried the ball 13 times apiece, which is what you'd like to have as far as balance is concerned. Most of the time in high formation, the tailback carries the ball, but they've been doing a great job of distributing the responsibility between the fullback and halfback, and that puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
2nd and 5 from the 19-yard line. In motion is Saldi again. This is a fake and a bootleg by White as he throws, and it is hit in the air, caught by Dupre anyway at the 5. Richard Wood hit the ball with his hand, and Dupre was right there to make the reception. And they'll spot the ball at the 5-yard line. And Billy Joe, everything is coming up Cowboys.
Here we see it again. Back to the left. The tight end comes around to the right side. Throws back Gritty into traffic. Dupre, number 89, gets the bouncing ball and makes the reception, takes it on down to the 5-yard line.
And of course, Richard Wood, furious that he could just deflect the ball into the hands of the big tight end. 1st and goal from the 5. Dorsett and Springs out of the eye. 2nd man, Tony Dorsett. See you later.
Well, they made it look easy the last 2 times they've had possession, but they've really kind of honed in on a good, solid, basic approach in the 2nd half. They just ran the football, were very patient, threw the ball on occasions, but they just stuck it at the Tampa Bay defense, and they've done a remarkable job. Here it is.
Dorsett, his 9th playoff touchdown, Hank.
Look at the hole right up the middle. He pops through there and goes in for the touchdown. Beautiful blocking at the point of attack by Scott, Rafferty, Peterson, Cooper, and Donovan.
So Septien, who's been letter perfect all year and again today, trying to make it 24-0 Dallas. Charlie Waters, the kick is perfect as usual. 24-0 in favor of the Cowboys. For Dorsett, 9 touchdowns in 11 postseason games. Harris had 17, and Biletnikoff and Zonka 10. Swan has 9. So the Cowboys went 33 yards in 5 plays following the interception by Michael Downs. Tony Dorsett driving over from 5 yards out, and it's pretty much of a runaway right now. 24-0 Dallas as Septien kicks off. 28 left in the third. Squinting in the sun is James Owens, and he's going to take it out. And not go far. He's lucky to get out to the 15 and then squirts through the pack and backs across the 30-yard line. So James Owens does a great job, basically on his own, of fighting that one back with UCLA.
Well, that was great effort on the part of James Owens. It looked like he was stuffed, and he came out of the pile and picked up another big chunky yardage on the play.
So it'll be 1st and 10 on the Buccaneer 31-yard line. Williams is 4 for 18 for 58 yards, but he's been intercepted 3 times and harried all day. Williams looking to the right side, tries to pass, and it is knocked up in the air, recovered by Ed Jones. It was hit by John Dutton, and Ed Jones snared it, and the Cowboys are in business again.
We talked about that earlier, and it's tough to throw against the guy that's 6'9", too tall Jones, and John Dutton, who is 6'7". Very difficult. He's trying to throw to his right that time. A comparatively short drop. You have to get very deep if you're going to do that. Dutton deflects the ball. Too tall Jones reacts terrifically well, makes the catch, and the Dallas Cowboys have good field position again on the +25, 1st and 10.
So that's a 4th interception, 2 by Dennis Thurman, 1 by Michael Downs, and now that deflection picked off by Ed Jones. 1st and 10 on the Buccaneer 25-yard line. And here goes Dorsett. 15-10, 5-yard line, and John Holt pushes him out of bounds. Holt, who went to school at West Texas State, had to do something down here, and he just did stop him. I'll tell you one thing, I can see the headline now in certain papers all across the country. The buck stops here.
Well, listen, this run is great. Again, from the I formation, he hits right straight up the middle. From the I, breaks outside. He's got such great speed. By the time anybody catches him, finally Holt, number 21, knocks him out of bounds. But he's got such great speed. Here's a good picture of Too Tall Jones, who has really done a remarkable job this afternoon.
1st and goal from the 4 for the Cowboys, leading 24-0. Second man, Dorsett, but he is stymied. Hugh Green, number 53, hit him low. Leroy Selman came up to make sure he wasn't going anywhere. Dorsett has carried 16 times, but look at the turnovers. 4 interceptions.
Yeah, that's murder. 4 for Tampa, 0 for Dallas, and that tells the story.
Dorsett going out to take a breather. His biggest day this year, he rushed for 175 yards against Baltimore and carried 30 times. Today, he has carried 16 times for 86 yards and 1 touchdown. Tony Dorsett. So 2nd and goal from the 5. Springs and Jones, and it'll be James Jones. He's gone for the Widowmaker.
Boy, did they get off the ball that time. He flew into the end zone. Nobody laid a hand on him. Good blocking again by the left side. Herb Scott, Pat Donovan. Watch him fly into the end zone for the touchdown. Look at Selman, number 63. They blocked him. Look at the big hole. Big, beautiful hole. Dave Stalls is trying to come in from the backside. Cedric Brown, but by the time he gets there, It's too late. It's the bye-bye Blues. He's in there for the touchdown.
And, of course, now the Cowboys are just about out of sight with 15 seconds left as you look at James Jones. 30-0. And although everybody thought Dallas should be favored playing at home, I don't think anybody thought they were going to just get anything to pieces.
No, I thought really it was going to be a much better game than it's been.
You know, I understand that the Cowboys were actually chafing at the bit from inactivity. And at team meetings, at one time, Randy White just got up in the middle of the team meeting and knocked a partition down. And somebody said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I don't know, but I'm just dying to hit somebody."
Well, they really haven't had a significant game in 3 weeks, and they've been off for 2 weeks, and they lost the game to the New York Giants. They didn't feel too good about that either. But on the other side of the football, Ben, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in the same situation. They practiced for 2 weeks. They didn't even wear pads at all for a 2-week period. They were chomping at the bit, they said, eager to play, eager to hit somebody. So, how do you know?
The question now, of course, the Giants will be at Candlestick Park in the soup against the 49ers. The Giants, of course, with Rob Carpenter's running and their good defense, I would guess that a sloppy track would favor them slightly anyway.
Yes, and the way they're playing defensively, and they're getting the most out of their people. They're not putting pressure on their offensive team by asking them to do something they can't do. They're doing what they can do very, very well, which is a great job on the part of Perkins. But I think that would be in favor of their football team in the slop tomorrow in San Francisco.
James Owens not going to bother to run it out, so it'll be 1st and 10 from the 20. Don't forget, starting next Sunday, and it certainly looks like Dallas is going to be in that game against either San Francisco or New York. If San Francisco wins, Dallas would go to Candlestick Park. If the Giants upset San Francisco, then the Giants would come here. So that's a championship game next Sunday, all leading up to January 24th and Super Bowl 16 from Pontiac, beginning at 2:30 Eastern Time. Meanwhile, 1st and 10 Buccaneers. That's the 20. Williams going over to the left side, and that's almost picked off by Mike Hegman. He just couldn't hold on to it and make it now Guy Brown, who was in there, 59 instead of 58. So Guy Brown, who just came into the game 5 years from Houston, and he almost got a piece of it.
Well, I tell you, it's murder when you have to throw against the Dallas Cowboys. They know you have to get back into the game with a throwing game. They're going to flop those ears back and really come after you, and it's very, very difficult. They play with 6 defensive backs. You've got to be a Houdini to get the ball through there and make receptions.
So John McKay seeing his bubble burst here in Dallas. 31-0 Cowboys, 2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. And Williams just got away from Ed Jones, throwing incomplete. And Theo Bell had a lot of company. He had Downs and Brunig and Barnes, and he was the intended receiver. And for Tom Landry, he's just 15 minutes away because that's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score Dallas 31, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers nothing. We'll be back at the start of the 4th quarter after this word from your local station. No, Dallas leading 31-0. There was concern because Ed Jones went down on the previous play, and here's how it happened.
Here we see him rushing on Charlie Hanna, number 73. He spins out, goes to the outside. Hanna gives him a shove, but watch him hit. I think he hits White. Randy White, number 54, in the process of falling down, and that's what created the problem.
So 3rd and 10 on the Buccaneers 20-yard line. And Williams going to try and get a big bite, and he's got his tight end, Jimmy Giles, and Giles is to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. He fought Dennis Thurman for the last 20 yards, and he gave Thurman a pretty good lick and finally went down at the 5-yard line, and he was wrestled down at the last moment after that battle with Thurman. You talk about hand-to-hand. Ron Fellows finally came in to deck him.
And they had a blitz on that time. Watch Dickerson coming in, number 51, and that time Williams had time to throw the ball, stepped up beautifully, delivered the ball right on the money to Jimmy Giles, who was really great, and that's the first reception of the contest for him. And he came into the game talking about Jimmy Giles with 45 catches.
That's a 75-yard pass play. You know, they had an 84-yard play to House against Detroit, 81-yard play against the Bears with Jimmy Giles, 77 against Oakland with House, 71 against Atlanta with House, now 75 said Jones, and of course that would be tremendous concern if they could lose this big man for next week's battle.
Yeah, he has the indication is that he's got a bruised knee, and he could come back if he had to, but I doubt very much if he will. Hopefully it's nothing serious, and he'll be able to play next week against whoever is going to be involved in the game.
Jones on a wing on the left side. That's Gordon Jones, just outside of Obradovic. And now Jones is in motion. Williams flipping back to Jerry Eckwood, and he's devoured. Bethea and Martin and Dutton and Charlie Waters. There are the plays we told you about. 84 against Detroit, 81 against the Bears, 77 against Oakland, 71 against Atlanta, and a 75-yard play today. But they're down 31-0. It's small consolation. Second and goal from the 8. Williams looking right, being chased by White and Martin drops him at about the 18. Boy, have they put on a show.
Yeah, that front four of the Dallas Cowboys, they've really been murdered this afternoon. And I can't tell what happened, whether that was a play designed to be moved to the right side, a rollout, or whether he just did it on his own. But if the linemen are not aware of what he's going to do back there, it's very, very difficult to block for him. He's got trouble inside. He's got a slow leak by White inside, but in the process of trying to break away, Martin from the right side comes in on Sanders and makes the kill.
Martin, 4 times a Pro Bowler. He was a co-MVP in the '77 Super Bowl with Randy White. He was the National Football League Defensive Player of the Year in '77. Boy, he's playing today like it's '77. And Doug Williams comes to the sidelines to take a respite with 12:50 left in the game, 31-0 Dallas. And it is third and goal on the Dallas 17-yard line. 31-0, and Doug Williams trying to get the Buccaneers at least on the scoreboard.
Safety blitz.
He goes left and completes it to the 10-yard line. Theo Bell making the reception, and he's dropped by Ron Fellows just inside the 10.
He had everybody coming. There you see number 32, Thurman, blitzing on the play. He read it beautifully, got the ball to the outside to Theo Bell, makes the catch, and this now on about the 10-yard line.
Ray Snell coming out. George Yarno taking over up front for Tampa Bay. Fourth and goal from the 9. Remember, they had first and goal from the 5 on that 75-yard pass to Jimmy Giles. Williams in trouble. Dickerson almost get him, and he has the ball thrown out of the end zone. Anthony Dickerson, number 51, 2 years out of SMU. Boy, was he ever in hot pursuit of Doug Williams.
Boy, was he flying in there that time. It looked like he was in their huddle the way he got a jump and anticipated the snap count. That's one other thing that's very important in a game like this one. Boy, you better not go in the same count all the time, because if they get the rhythm defensively, it's tough enough to throw the ball when they know you're going to throw it, and if they know the snap count too, boy, it's really murder.
And the Cowboys ecstatic. Meanwhile, the frustration at Tampa Bay is really summed up. They have a first and goal on the 5, and they wind up on the 10, giving the ball back to Dallas. 31-0 Cowboys. With 12 minutes and 1 second left in this ball game, Dallas sitting on top of a 31-0 lead over Tampa Bay. So the Buccaneers have about 12 minutes left of their 1982 season. Meanwhile, Leroy Selman giving it his best shot, even though the Buccaneers now have slipped hopelessly behind.
They run left in this formation.
First and 10, and there goes James Jones bumping into Kirk Peterson, and that slowed it down. Peterson, the kid who played defensive line from Missouri and was converted and has done an excellent job. In fact, people down here talking about the great change in the Cowboy offensive line. Change of Rafferty going to center with Shaw and Fitzgerald out.
You know, talking about offensive lines, Ben, I talked to John McKay yesterday, and that was one of the things he said was very significant as far as his team is concerned. He felt the development and growth of the offensive line was really the difference in why they were in the playoffs, and yet ironically today,
Saldi in motion, and they'll go the other way. And James Jones trying to cut back, and he maybe picks up a yard. Going back to the record books a little bit, with Tampa Bay being blank so far, in the 1978 NFC Championship game in Los Angeles, Dallas shut out the Rams 28-0. Ironic to mention the Rams today as you look at Doug Williams, a tired, weary, and somewhat disconsolate young quarterback. And for John McKay, the shades are down as Bill Nelson, who quarterback for him at USC, and not much you can do at this stage.
Got to talk about Maurice Spencer, who's done a great job for us here this afternoon in the booth to help us with this game.
Right, 3rd and 8 from the 12. White going to James Jones. It's a good fake on Cecil Johnson. It's past the 20 to about the 23-yard line. Finally, Mike Washington brought him down. But Cecil the Diesel came over, and Jones really faked him right out of the machinery.
There he goes, White into the pocket, throwing outside to Jones, number 23, and that's what you want. You try to get him on a linebacker or a defensive back one-on-one. It's very, very difficult to tackle him. They do not do a good job, and for that reason, he gets a good chunk on the play.
Well, that brings it out to the 23 of Dallas. Mike Washington shaken up on the play, but he's staying in there. He's the one that John McKay calls bones because of all of his injuries, and he's got a bad shoulder. Second man, that's James Jones, and he's out across the 30-yard line, hit by Washington and Johnson.
That's that counter play again, faking one way, going back the other way. Pat Donovan, number 67, the left tackle was pulling on the play, meaning he was pulling from the left tackle position all the way over to the right side. They're doing a good job of selling the linebackers on the fact that they might go one way, and they come back against the grain, they take a counter step, and made a nice gain on the play.
Doug Donnelly and Butch Johnson now in the game. Johnson goes right, and Donnelly goes left. Donnelly is really a flyer out of Ohio State. Keep an eye on him. He was a number 2 draft choice for the Cowboys this year. There goes Ron Spring. Driven out of bounds by John Holt. Hugh Green was running along just in case. Well, the Cowboys are going to do it again. 16th consecutive winning season. 15th time in the playoffs. They're going to have a record of 18-12, and it goes on and on. They will have won 18 straight at home since they lost the playoff here to the Rams. And of course, Tom Landry and company had won 18 regular season games in a row since they lost to Houston on Thanksgiving Day. They'll be 9-2 in divisional playoffs since 1970. The mark of success, the Dallas Cowboys. 1st and 10 on the Cowboys 39. Danny White going to the right side, and he's got his man, Doug Donnelly, and Norris Thomas pushes him out. Donnelly, they tell us, runs the 60 meters in a 6-1. He was also timed in a 100-yard dash at 9-4. So when they send this fella, he can fly.
Yeah, it was man-for-man coverage. They had an outside blitz that time, a play-action fake, and as deep as the defensive backs play, we talked about that earlier, number 41, Norris Thomas. It was very deep. On the play, you have to be able to throw in front if you have time to throw it. They had time, and they got the completion very easily on the play.
Coming into the ballgame for the first time today, Robert Newhouse. Ron Springs comes out to catch his breath. So you have Newhouse and Jones. Johnson goes from the left side. Saldi is outside to play, and now he's in motion. And Newhouse to the 40, driving to the 39. The Robert Newhouse, 10 years out of Houston.
He's got a great attitude. I was able to watch him, talk to him at practice the other day. Here again, Saldi coming in motion and helping out on the linebacker inside. There you see him blocking Johnson. And Robert goes right through there, number 44. He's a strong runner, very determined runner. Pops through there and picks up a nice gain on the play. But talking to him yesterday, he indicated, he said, Coach, it's been a long layoff of 2 weeks. We've looked at a lot of films, and we're tired of doing what we're doing. But we're ready to play, and we're going to play good. So,
boy, were they ready to play. 2nd and 3 from the 40-yard line. Second man is James Jones, and he is hit just about at the line of scrimmage. He might have gone a yard. For Danny White and Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys, there will be a next week and another game on the way to Super Bowl 16. Prey and Saldi coming in. But for Tampa Bay, their are 7 minutes and 46 seconds left in their season.
You have to compliment, I know John and the Tampa Bay Buccaneer team and the fans are very disappointed, but you have to be pretty pleased with the fact that they have won 2 championships out of the 6 years they've been in existence. They're a good organization. Mr. Culverhouse is one of the great owners of the National Football League, I think. And they're going to continue to grow and prosper and be a good football team.
That's James Jones to the 29-yard line. And there's a fight, meanwhile, back at about the 43-yard line. And, of course, it's the end of a long day and a long season. And tempers figurative, Flair.
It's a frustration.
Flag on the play.
Frustration fight.
Jay Saldy was mixing it up. Cecil Johnson lost his helmet, and he's the one who's hot. And Danny White trying to console Johnson and giving him his helmet. Let's take a look. Let me show you what happened, what caused all this.
Here we go, the surge off the line of scrimmage. A guard pulling, Saldy blocking on the play. Saldy blocking Johnson. Knocks him down finally. Jumps on top of him. Knocks the helmet off, and they engage in a little wrestling match. You ought to have Ernie Ladd here to officiate this wrestling contest. Ernie Ladd, of course, being a great defensive tackle, he used to play for San Diego and play for us. 6'9", 325.
87 on the offense was the number, 87.
So Saldy is guilty of the infraction. Johnson is 6'2", 235. Saldy is 6'3", 223, so it was a fairly even match. But I think Cecil the Diesel was a little surprised, not only that Saldy came at him, but that Saldy never quit, and then went after him on the ground. There's Jay, 6 years out of South Carolina. 7:18 left. The ball is on the Buccaneer 30-yard line.
You know, talking about fights back in Kansas City, we used to have a bag of boxing gloves on the field. We used to have a couple of very emotional players, Jerry Mays, who was a great defensive end, and John Gillum, who's an offensive center. Both were very enthusiastic, and we'd get involved in more fights. When the fight started, I would just get the squad in a big circle. We'd get the big boxing gloves on and let them go after it for about 2 minutes, and they'd get tired in a hurry.
And with 7:18 left, the Cowboys weren't tired enough to do a lot of handshaking on the sidelines with Herbert Scott, Pat Donovan, and Tony Dorsett highly visible. And moving and off is Campbell. Meanwhile, James Jones falling on the ball at about the 34-yard line, but I'm pretty sure they're going to lay the body in the doorstep of Joe Campbell. He was originally drafted by New Orleans in 77. You know Joe.
Yes, sir. Joseph was drafted at number 1 in 1977, played his collegiate football at Maryland, and left Kansas City, went to Oakland, got a ring there last year, and came right here and wound up for the playoffs. Not bad.
Offside, number 79, defense, first down.
Well, Joe, anyway, you got your name mentioned.
That's right.
There's Jay Saldy without the glasses, but with the beard and sweatband. Calm and cool after that brief tussle with Cecil Johnson.
Looks like he's still a little upset.
That'll cool him off. Well, 1st and 5 at the 25. It's 31-0 Cowboys. They're staying on the ground. James Jones getting away from David Lewis, chased by Norris Thomas, and Thomas can't get him, and he finally fights his way to the 20. John Hope, number 21, and Scott Manley finally hit him and brought him down, and Norris Thomas a little exhausted as he's on his back at the 25-yard line.
Kind of a ring around the rosy run, but Norris Thomas really showed great determination. He stayed after him to the very end, and he was on the left side, chased him all the way over on the right side, which is great effort on the part of Norris Thomas, number 41, the left cornerback.
So 2nd and 1 on the Buccaneers 21. Tom Landry, in his great career, 196 wins. Hallis had 320, Lambeau 231, and Shula 194 in the regular season.
You know, the great thing about Tom, he's always the same. Never changes, win, lose, or draw. He's always the same guy, which you admire him for.
Flag on the play as Brantley brings down Dupre. We'll wait for the interpretation. Holding, as you can see, against Dell. 6 minutes and 21 seconds to the end of the ball game. It started off hard-nosed. The Cowboys eventually scored on a 9-yard pass to Tony Hill. Added a field goal by Septien to lead 10-0.
Holding, number 65, offense, second down.
Looking across the field, we see some great names in the Cowboy Hall of Fame. Mel Chuck Howley, Don Meredith, Bob Lilly, Don Perkins, and talking about Hall of Fame, E.J. Hollop, our great player, was initiated into the Hall of Fame, the Texas Hall of Fame, over the weekend, which we were very proud of.
With the score 31-0 Dallas, you'd think they were still playing. Jones and Newhouse releases, and White's going to go deep in the end zone to Butch Johnson, no good. He was bumped by Cedric Brown, I believe, and I think they're going to call it. Yep.
Yeah, he was bumped.
Sure will.
5 defensive back. He was bumped. There was contact where the ball was in flight. It's pass interference. Good call on the part of the official.
Cedric Brown, who had picked off 9 interceptions this year.
Pass interference, number 34, defense, first down.
So it's first and goal at the 1, since the penalty was in the end zone.
Here you see it. And he's not doing it intentionally, but there is bumping, there's contact. He's feeling for him with his right arm, it looks like, with his right hand. Good call on the part of the official. Great picture by Tony Verna again on the play.
So a dispirited Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, down 31-0, taking on a lot of water, and the skipper knows that it's all over. And now the Cowboys just trying to push it over with 6:15 left. Jones and Newhouse behind Danny White. Crosby, the tight end, on the left side, and Dupree on the right. Crosby in motion, and it is Newhouse trying to butt his way in, and he couldn't quite get there.
Well, it's amazing. You know that play's coming. Saldi goes in motion this time from the left side. It isn't Crosby. It's, yeah, it is. 84. Crosby coming in motion that time. Same play. Good blocking. Look at Newhouse and look at Dupree. Number 89 also blocking Wood on the play.
And Robert Newhouse coming out to the plaudits of the crowd. Timmy Newsom taking over for him. For 10 years, he's been battling for Dallas. Of course, I wonder how D.D. Lewis feels and Charlie Waters, because they have both announced that they would retire. And it looks like they'll play at least one more. And there goes Timmy Newsom. 2 years out of Winston-Salem State. And of course, it now makes it 37-0 Dallas. An overwhelming Cowboy victory against a very tough Tampa Bay defense. Or at least it was coming into this game.
Yeah, it really was. The Cowboys have really done a number on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially in the second half. Really, this has been a contest, a no contest situation, because really Tampa's never really had a chance to get back into this football game, or was never in it from the very beginning.
So 37-0 in favor of Dallas, 5:27 left. And Septien will try to kick it through again with a hole by Charlie Waters. The hold and the kick, it is good. So an overwhelming Dallas 38-0 lead, but with a flag on the play. We'll watch Jerry Mark right. It's good.
Illegal substitution, 12 men on the field for the defense. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
So Tampa Bay got caught in a switch with everything else going wrong. It figured they'd have had 12 men on the field, so the penalty would be exacted at the kickoff. 38-0 Dallas. With 5 minutes and 27 seconds left in the ball game, it is 38-0 Dallas. A complete runaway for the Cowboys. Very unexpected. And of course, Tampa Bay shocked and beaten now in the waning minutes, as Rafael Septien will be kicking from the 40. Remember, the 12th man on the field for Tampa Bay, so instead of from the 35, he'll kick from the 40. Holden Owens deep for Tampa Bay, and it'll be John Holt, who went to school in Texas, and he'll take it out. Faking to Owens and keeps going to the 10, to the 20, to the 25, and finally taken down at the 30-yard line. And the man who hit him was Spradlin, number 55. 11 years ago, a third-round draft choice by the name of Charlie Waters came out of Clemson and came to Dallas to play for the Cowboys. And now the pride of Clemson says he's going to call it a career. In fact, this is what he said about it.
I have thought about this a lot this week, that this might be my last game, and I'm going to try to make every tackle and knock down every pass because of that. But, you only do what you can do. You know, I'm going to go out and try to play and try to win and prepare like I've always prepared in the past and hope we can move on to the next stage. But if Tampa Bay beats us, then, you know, rest in peace.
By the way, Charlie Waters was recently inducted into the Clemson Hall of Fame.
And he'll rest in peace tonight, won't he, after this contest? And, you know, talking to him at practice the other day, you know, it's amazing to look at the tape and the wrapping he's got around that right leg. And when he finally got it all unraveled, I looked at that knee and I just couldn't believe that he's able to play as well as he plays. It's discolored. It looks like it's in bad shape, but he's got a great heart and has done a remarkable job under adverse conditions as far as that leg is concerned.
You know, Charlie Waters and Bill Simpson are tied with 9 playoff interceptions, and John Holt, meanwhile, is hurt and coming off the field for Tampa Bay. So John Holt, who gave it his best shot all day, the rookie out of West Texas State, and he was hurt on the return. Charlie Waters playing in his 24th playoff game. So, of course, by playing next week, it will mean that D.D. Lewis will hold the record. He has played in 26, counting today. That ties him with Larry Cole. So next week, D.D. Lewis, number 15, will stand alone. Williams has not been standing alone too much. It's out of Wilder's hand, picked up by Harvey Martin. Right through Wilder's hands and into Martin's hands. You can't believe what's happening, but they're going to rule it. You're no good.
And they rule it incomplete.
Right. Second and 10 with 5 minutes and 9 seconds left.
Well, you talk about when it rains, it pours. What an illustration of that this afternoon as far as Tampa Bay. I would think possibly we'll see Carano come in the next time the Dallas Cowboys have possession. I would sure think so.
Second and 10 from the 30. 38-0 Dallas. 5 minutes and 9 seconds left in the game. In motion, Jimmy Giles is connected to the biggest Tampa Bay play of the day. And that's complete at the 40, and driving ahead Wilder goes out to about the 44, and we'll see they'll spot it at about the 41. With Stradlin and Hegman making the stop. Stradlin, number 55, is a rookie. They call him Spur. He played football at Tennessee. He's in there, so they're resting, among other people, Bob Brunick and D.D. Lewis.
The amazing thing about this offense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Wilder came in with 48 catches, the tight end with 45, and they haven't been able to do much here this afternoon at all.
James Owens gets across the 40, and Anthony Dickerson is right there to bring him down as he rolls out of bounds. Doug Williams today has completed 8 for 27 for 155 yards, but remember, 75 yards on one pass to Jim Giles. And he has been intercepted 4 times and sacked a couple of times, guilty of intentionally grounding the ball. A memorable day for him in some respect. Second and 7 from the 44. And that's to Giles. And Giles at the 35, and Benny Barnes gets him from behind and drags him down at about the 33-yard line. And coming up again is the rookie Everson Walls, number 24.
You know, his tempo of the game has changed totally, and he's not getting nearly as much pressure. But here's a great illustration of the way this kid can throw when he has time to throw. He just has not had time to throw. People, again, must realize that because the completion record is like it is, it's certainly not his fault. He has to have pass protection. He hasn't had it here this afternoon, and when he has had it, he's thrown the ball pretty well.
Tony Davis is now in the backfield along with Wilder. And Davis staying in the block. And Williams is going to be grabbed from behind, an ankle tackle, and it was Randy White.
That time they had an inside stunt, which means that, you know, you just change positions with a defensive tackle or a defensive end. He goes first, you go second, or vice versa. Randy White was in that kind of a stunt. Was able to leak through that time and make the tackle on Doug Williams.
Don't forget, at the end of the ball game with Brandon Irv and Phyllis, along with Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, we might have an interview or two with some of the participants in this one. So stay right with us. With 3:15 left, 38-0 Dallas. And of course the Buccaneers, remember, had a first and goal from the
Delay of game, number 12, offense, second down.
Go to second and 19 on the Dallas 42.
Well, when your big guns catch only one, Kevin House has only caught one ball for 10 yards. Giles has only caught 2, and Wilder has caught 1. And they came into the game with the reputation of being the top receivers. Boy, it's tough when you get shut down like that.
And the Cowboys are after him again, and Larry Bethea got him at the 40-yard line. And Bethea, who is playing once in a while for Randy White, he came in there that time to hammer him back at the 40-yard line. There's Big Larry at 6'5", 254. He was a first-round draft choice in 1978. 2:53 left, and I'm sure at this stage Tampa Bay can't wait.
They're ready to look for the bus.
Yeah, they gave it their best shot, but there's no doubt the better team has won this ball on this particular day. Huh?
Yeah, that's what it's always all about.
So it's 3rd and 36 on the 41, and now flags, and let's see, were they drawn off?
False start, offense.
Yep. Well, I was going to say their worst situation and down yardage was back in the first half. They had a 3rd and 38.
Number 61,
And they have
offense,
topped that.
third down.
Now they have a 3rd and 41. So you didn't have a play 3rd and 38, so I guess you don't have a play 3rd and 41.
No, you don't have those kind of plays in your playbook.
3rd and 41. On the 36. Martin trying to get at him, but he throws a little screen to James Owens at the 40, bumping into his own people, and Anthony Dickerson can't hold him. Everson Walls can't, so Randy White says, okay, I'll take it. And White brings him down.
There's a great illustration of the frustration of the runner trying to get upfield and get the most out of the plays he possibly could. He had linemen out in front, but he ran ahead of the lineman, did not provide them with an opportunity to block for him, and so for that reason the play did not develop very well at all. But I think, again, it's an illustration of the frustration involved in the ball carrier trying to make something happen.
And we have come down to the 2-minute warning here at Irving, Texas. Dallas 38, Tampa Bay nothing. The Dallas Cowboys, virtually unbeatable at home, continue to beat the drum, leading 38-0. In fact, the only other team to go undefeated at home this year were the Denver Broncos. Larry Swider is standing on the Tampa Bay 30. And Swider kicking to the deep man, James Jones, at the Dallas 10-yard line. And instead, the snap goes to Davis. Davis can't handle it, and grabbing and swallowing up Swider is Billy Joe Dupree, of all people. And Swider, who had dropped a snap earlier, remember, and punted for 22, that snap went to Tony Davis. Take a look. It's Davis, the fullback.
It looked like, that was a catchable snap. It was a little bit to his left, but it looked like he took his eye off the ball, obviously. In his haste to try to run to the outside, he was looking where he was going to run. Instead of making the catch first, doing first things first, following an orderly process, he did not do that, and for that reason, fumbled the ball. Dallas had good field position again on the plus 33. Well, that might be the reason he dropped the ball. He's not used to handling it very often.
So 1st and 10 on the Tampa Bay 32. Butch Johnson goes wide left. Doug Donnelly goes wide right, and Glenn Carano is the quarterback. With Jones and Newhouse, and there goes Robert Newhouse, grabbed by Richard Wood at about the 29-yard line. Glenn Carano, number 18, finishing up for Danny White. He's a 5-year veteran out of Nevada of Las Vegas. Number 2 draft choice in 77. That was the same year that involved the big draft of the 2 big stars, Tony Dorsett, Ricky Bell. And of course, Dorsett, the Heisman Award winner. Bell came in number 2, and there's Tex Schramm sitting quietly and calmly watching the Dallas Cowboys take Tampa Bay apart today. 2nd and 7. James Jones going down at about the 33-yard line. Brad White, number 90. And Morris Thomas, number 41, bringing him down.
You know, John McKay made a funny remark. He never realized it was going to be appropriate the way the game was played here today, but I asked about his pulling guards and sending in plays with his 2 guards, Snell and Yarno. He said, yeah, we plan to do that. We hope somewhere along the line we can keep both of them in at the same time. We might need both of them on the same side to block those linemen, and he wasn't very far from wrong.
Well, there's a Cowboy on the field, but he's not in uniform, so that Cowboy is heading for the corral, feeling his oats.
Looks like he got shot right out of the saddle.
So 3rd and 11. For Tampa Bay, of course, growing up is very difficult, whether it's a human being or a professional football team, and they have done remarkably well.